with a primary focus on aspects related to leadership and integrity, national elections, the legislature structure and representation. Additional areas encompass the arrangement of the national executive, the framework of devolution, as well as independent commissions and officers. He revealed that the team, consisting of 4 other individuals, intends to initiate and launch a signature campaign drive in the near future. The campaign drive aims at activating the process of amending the 7 designated sections of the Constitution.
Our hand is to come out as we have, to tell Kenyans that we are telling you that there is a time and that there is an opportunity to re-examine the Constitution. The popular initiative requires that you present a bill which will go through the processes prescribed by law. And I can tell you that we have a calendar of events. We will have a date for the launch of signature collection. We'll move around the country and collect signatures.
It is only in order, it is normal that constitutions are relooked into 10 years after. We have been grappling, leaders have been talking about it. The issue has been who's going to bail the cat.
And President William Ruto has thrown his weight behind the ongoing talks between the government and the opposition. Speaking in Bungoma County, the president said that the talks will focus on the agenda questions, with the Kenya Kwanza side keen on setting up the office of the opposition leader.
Sindio hiyo ni kusonga mbele. So I have no issue. So tusukumane namna hiyo ndio tupeleke taifa letu la Kenya. Ile tumekataa na hiyo sitakubali. Kwa vyovyote ni fujo. Nimesema vile vile kama wanataka tutengeneze ofisi ya leader of opposition kule bunge, niko tayari to fund na serikali ya Kenya. Awe anatoa statement kutoka asubuhi mpaka jioni, hii serikali imekosa hapa, hii serikali haijafanya hii serikali imekosa pale, mimi sina problem. Ama namna gani? Si ndio? Si akisema mahali nimekosa na ninaona kweli kuna makosa zinarekebisha. Si ndio hiyo ni kusonga mbele. So I have no issue.
This is Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said the talks should focus on strengthening the economy, size is improving, and not focus on how the opposition will get to power through handshake.
That man mnatafuta mwenyewe anatafuta rais apate kiti ya kukula. So wewe unamfuata akupeleke wapi? Hana funguo, hana ofisi vile mzee Atwali amesema.
Ruto, who is on a 5-day tour of the western region, said the plans to revive sugar factories are on course and that his government will help farmers growing sugarcane. Further stating that his government will address the 117 billion shillings debt owed by the sugar factories.
Tutafanya mpango kama serikali tuondoe madeni. Madeni ya sugar companies yetu 5 ya serikali ni bilioni 117. 117 billion. Tumepitisha katika baraza la mawaziri ya kwamba hiyo madeni yote ifutiliwe mbali.
And Kabral's sugar chairperson Jaswant Singh Rai has been released by his abductors. The release came 2 days after the drama that was captured on security cameras. His lawyer, senior counsel Kyoko Kilukumi, confirmed Rai had been released Sunday. The lawyer said his client was set free 2 days after he was abducted at the junction along Wood Avenue in Kilimani Friday. He said the businessman was shaken but fine and back with his family. President William Ruto earlier attacked and singled out Rai of the Rai Group over the state of sugar industry in the country.
Kwa hivyo mimi msikuwe na wasiwasi. Niko hapo chonjo kabisa, nitahakikisha hii kitu ikakaa chonjo. Na wakora wote wako katikati, msikuwe na wasiwasi ati kuna mtu atakuja kutuongelesha Kiingereza hapa, sijui muhindi fulani, sijui nani. Hapana, hiyo haiwezekani. Sijui mwingine ananiambia Rai nani? Hapana, hiyo haiwezekani. Hiyo no. Hii ni mali ya wananchi na hatuwezi kukubali mtu ambaye ata take advantage of people in this region. Nobody is going to take advantage of anybody.
Now, teacher salaries may be delayed following the ongoing tension regarding the increase in salaries they are entitled to be paid, according to the President's promise, as well as the announcement of the Public Employees, that is, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. NAT, Kupet and Kuzna teachers are expected today to return to a meeting with the TSC after another meeting held last week failed to reach to an agreement and therefore did not sign the agreement on the pending salaries. According to the unions, TSC is proposing an increase of between 2.4% and 9.5% instead of 7% and 10%. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asato. Good morning.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that sisi ni ng'ombe za baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry. Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, hawa watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person, or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who is a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe. If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start.
A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in
Ben Low, nin inte, nin there, ayu markati kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. You know, sweating is biblical. Good. And you must blame it on Adam, not me. You know, because Adam messed up and he was told, no, you fellow, you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning. On this Monday, a little bit of traffic starting to build up here and there. All right, in our here and there, it's on the Thika Superhighway, slowly then finding its way into the city centre, and also on the Northern Bypass. It's going to spill over then towards Muthaiga Square. A little bit of movement also happening on Jogo Road, taking us out towards the roundabout at the City Stadium, out towards Landis, and then on towards Kamkunji at the roundabout. Apart from that, slim pickings this Monday morning, folks. We're likely to see a lot more movement this morning. Kids going back to school and all those good things, and then getting cross country by tomorrow. Spice FM KE on X. Let's know what's going on where you are and try to keep things moving this Monday.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news town. A man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
It's 10 minutes after 6 o'clock. Good morning. This Monday, the 28th of August. The year is over. We're getting into quarter 4 of 2023. Sheesh.
For a moment there, I thought we decided we must, yes, but now clearly we mustn't.
I was just a smidgen confused. So now, the fourth quarter of 2023, such things, right? It's happening and the year is over and we're looking down the tunnel of Christmas like this. How are you doing? And welcome. It's 11 after 6 o'clock and getting into the final Monday of the month. Karibuni sana and welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. CT.
Yes, please.
Good morning once again.
Good morning to you, Ndu, once again.
How are you?
I am very well, thank you.
The weekend was bamba.
My weekend was good. Quiet. Good. Yes.
Didn't get round to much, did you?
No, just...
wait. You did get round to much, but it's what you usually do. Yes. Rest, take it easy.
Then go for walks.
And meet your constituents.
Well, I simply went about my business the way I do, but somehow I've noticed there are people who will come to you and talk to you. They first ask you, where have I met you before? I said, perhaps it is you who could tell me where it is we met before. Then they tell you, do you work in TV? I said, no, actually I do not.
TV?
Well, yeah, that's a question. I said, no, I work in radio. Do you work in the mornings? I said, yes, I work in the mornings. Oh, yes. My son told me it is you. I said, it is me. Yes, it is you. You and those two other people.
Yeah.
Say, greet them. Greet two other people. You've been greeted.
Oh, asante sana. By nani?
The young lady is called Ngei.
Ngei?
Yes, that is her name. Do you want me to say hello to you too?
Tumepokea salamu.
Yes. Nilimjua kwamba yeye amesalimia nyi. Okay? If you do not know, then you do not know. But if you know, then now you know. Yes, like that. Naomi Ngei. Yes.
Eric Latiff, good morning.
Habari bwana.
Salama bwana.
Mambo ikoaje?
Mambo iko fresh.
Very good. Ati Naomi Ngei alitusalimia. Go do another walk, eh? And then if you come across her, msalimie.
Yes, I have passed on the greetings. Yes, it just so happened is there's a route I follow. And I altered it slightly yesterday. To make the route longer. Do ask me if I did something. Yes, that was the unusual thing.
That was a different thing. The walking route was longer yesterday.
It was longer. I increased.
That was about the height of the movement this weekend.
Yes, just extend the distance a little bit. Yes, it's very good. Blood circulation and all that.
So the blood circulated faster.
It circulated well.
Or more.
And that you tell by the way you sleep. Sleep very soundly.
Very good.
And you also wake up soundly.
Very good.
So now you are sound.
I am completely sound. You are looking at the epitome of sound.
Sound man. Do you?
You're a man of sound.
I'm a man
body
of sound.
And mind.
Yes.
Very
sound.
good. Sawa bwana.
Na wewe uko salama?
Mimi pia niko sawa. Yes. Let me tell you what we'll be discussing today. At 7 a.m., we'll be talking World Skills Kenya National Competition, Opening Ceremony and Innovation Week. And we'll be joined by the Director General of the TVET Authority, Dr. Kipkirui Langat. He joins us at 7 a.m. to have that conversation. It's a big one. There's even a lot of content in the Standard today. First, World Skills Kenya National Competition, what it's all about, what it means, how do you participate in the World Skills Competition. We'll be talking about that this morning at 7 a.m. At 8 o'clock, let's talk about affordable housing and get it now from the perspective of a developer. Suleiman Shabal is the Member of Parliament for the East African Legislative Assembly, and he's also chairman of Gulf Cup Real Estate. Gulf Cup are the ones who've been developing Buxton points. Remember that Buxton affordable housing program project. And then they also have another one that they are doing. It was launched by the president earlier this year. If I remember. Huh? Yes. Wapi pale?
Ilikuwa Shaurma.
Ziwani, yes. In Ziwani.
Mimi nimewapatia shauri moja, sio?
Wapatia shauri.
Lakini no, ni Ziwani.
Ziwani. So Suleiman Shabal joins us at 8 a.m. to have that conversation. At 9 a.m. we'll open up and have our own discussion about the state of the nation. Tujiangalie. Tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana. Sikio la mwizi halisikii kufa. Sikio la kufa halisikii dawa. 16 minutes after 6. We are live streaming the show on YouTube and Facebook as usual. If you're online, like Kaiser Obed is, say hello to us. Kaiser Obed has already done his part. He's saying hello. Hello, Kaiser. Let's take a look at the weather and then we'll acknowledge everybody else.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Cloudy conditions this Monday morning at 14 in Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 12. We'll see lows of 13 in a mostly clear Nakuru, going to highs of 26. 23 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Nyeri at 14. And looking into a clear Eldoret at 11, it'll go to highs of 24. It's 24 and partly cloudy in Mombasa, highs of 29 and lows of 23. And we'll see lows of 24 in a partly cloudy Malindi at 25, going to highs of 29. It's 18 and clear in Kisumu, highs of 30 and highs of 28 in a mostly clear Kakamega at 16. Cloudy at 20 in Kampala, highs of 28, and at 24 it's mostly cloudy in Dar es Salaam, highs of 29 and lows of 23. It's 4 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 21, and Lagos will see highs of 28, clear, rather cloudy, currently at 24. It's mostly cloudy at 23 in Kinshasa, highs of 30 and lows of 23. Monday afternoon is sunny at 27, highs of 30 and lows of 19, and Paris is clear at 13, highs of 21. We'll see highs of 21 as well in a mostly cloudy London at 13. And it's mostly clear New York Sunday night, coming into Monday, highs of 29 and lows of 19.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Okay, like that. I'm doing. Hi, good morning. Listening from Edmonton. Can you do us a favor, being Monday? Highlight only the positives. Focus on our exemplary athletes. Because the more you focus on our politicians, the more depressing our days go. Please. Ooh-wee. Stellash, Omentas. Tin Morioki says good morning from New York. Good morning, Patriots. Tuned in live from Old Town. City. There's somebody called he has disappeared. There's somebody called Ogalo who says he or she idolizes you.
Ogalo, thank you. Ogalo. I have a cousin called Ogalo. In fact, I have more than one cousin who has that name.
Who has that name? Yeah.
If Ogalo idolizes you, then Ogalo should offer a burnt sacrifice.
Surely.
I mean, what is this thing? Toa sadaka.
Bana.
Nini wewe bana?
Achome kuku.
Tutakuja hapo kama high priest.
Tuone kama sacrifice itakuwa acceptable. Pleasing.
Yes. What is this?
Sawa, asante sana. Hello.
Ednah ndio huyo. Hi,
lakini sasa ameacha kamera huko sasa.
Sasa hatuwezi ona. I'm seeing her in all her glory. Hamjambo wadao. Umazi Mwachiti. Good morning, my dear. Tuko ndani. Good to hear from you after a while. Hope you are doing well. Watu wengine wako nini online kwenye YouTube. Agri Momanyi says good morning Spice, wishing you a great week ahead. No power shortage this week. Amen. Excuse me. Don Sabwa says in Malawi, best friend we say Bwenzi Lapamtima. For example, Ndu is Bwenzi Lapamtima and have a nice day. Siku la bueno. So, Siku la bueno Ndu, Siku la bueno Don Zabwa. This language is sweet in my mouth.
It's pleasant, eh?
I'm telling you.
Siku la bueno, have a nice day.
Exactly. Siku la bueno.
Na Bwenzi is
sasa
what?
ni Bwenzi Lapamtima. Sasa mimi sasa ndio
Bwenzi sasa.
And what are you Lapamtima?
Best friend sasa. Bwenzi sounds like the friend. Lapamtima niyo. Evans Nyanganos tuned in from Rangao in Kajiado County. Sir George is tuned in this morning from Manchester. That one we know. He says, have a blessed Monday. May God be with us all through this week. Amen. Dev says, good morning. Tune in from Kasarani. Have a great Monday. The 2000 says, CT's favorite day is finally here. I hope your weekend was fantastic. You have told us that your favorite day is Monday.
No, Monday is my favorite
People
day.
had not forgotten. James Sekento tuned in from Kerara Pond. Carol Nyabura says, good morning, team. Have a lovely Monday. Looking forward to another day of exciting discussions. Zeke, and he's reminded me that Zeke is short for Ezekiel. Have a happy Monday, blessed week. Peter Katam is tuned in from CT, your favorite state in the northern United States, Pennsylvania. Joe Mungai from Bonnie Lake, Washington State. Hi, Ndu CT and Latiff. Robert Bogo says, good morning. Desmond Ortiz says, good morning. I like CT's endless stories. Okay.
I've just been called a storyteller.
Imagine. And George has also decided that you took 10,000 steps this weekend. Did you reach 10,000? Maybe you surpassed them, actually. Good morning, Eric CT, and have a great week. That's Dismas and Buya. Kenya could procure uranium from Niger. Okay, Brian, that's a bit random, but all right. Hello to you all, says Ezekiel, another Ezekiel. John Kiangu says, good morning, tuning in from Machakos and listening in from South Dakota. No, sorry, South Coast, he says. Jamal Ayub, good morning. Hello, folks, tuning in from Greater Manchester. Joseph Muhindi, tuned in from Dubai. Nyale Kalama is tuning in. Sabalkeri says, nimetega sikio kutoka Mombasa. Good morning from Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. Did we get to know what caused the blackout? Even the people who are fixing it still don't know, but okay. Fadil Feru says he's tuning from Dubai. Yahya Mukhtar says he's tuning from Dubai as well. And Javan is an engineering student and he's tuned in from the Kamburu Power Station.
Kabisa.
Good morning, everybody. Karibu
Everybody. Kuna mtu amesema watu must wanasikiliza. Must.
Masinde Muliro something.
Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology.
Hiyo sasa.
Okay, that's must. Haya. All right. City.
Yes.
Where to this week?
South Africa.
South Africa.
Yes. North, south, east, west. Like that. But in our case, it is
Africa
west,
is best.
south.
Okay.
Africa is best. South Africa. Otherwise known as the Republic of South Africa. On this continent, you cannot get more southernmost than South Africa. It is the southernmost country.
Southernmostest.
Kabisa. But of interest, coastline, 2,798 kilometers.
Huge.
Massive. Just one country. But it isn't the country in mainland Africa that has the longest coastline. Longest coastline, Somalia.
Upper two.
3,333.
Where?
Yeah. That's what Somalia boasts. Okay?
Okay.
Now, of interest, South Africa's government has 3 separate headquarters. You know how us here, Supreme Court, Nairobi.
Parliament,
Nairobi. State House, Nairobi.
South Africa sasa wakuna Pretoria, wakuna
exactly. Executive, ile president, ile president. Pretoria. Okay. Now, legislative. Bunge. Cape Town. Judicial. Bloemfontein. So then, I think here corruption is a bit difficult, Sindio.
Corruption is difficult.
It's a bit difficult.
It's easier.
It's very difficult because there's space in between. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it means when you talk about separation of powers, they've separated them even physically. All right, but Johannesburg still remains the largest city.
Johannesburg.
All right. Today's proverb. If you start looking for flies in your food, it means you are full.
If you do what?
If you start looking for flies in your food, it means you are full.
Umeshiba wewe.
Umeshiba bwana. Sasa hicho kwa ni kitu.
If you start looking for flies in your food, you're full.
Unaanza kutafuta tu makosa. Even this thing was not really cooked properly. And you're full, you've eaten.
Yeah.
Shiba.
Yeah.
You know, this thing would have been softer. This ugali, why isn't it firm enough? You've eaten and you're full.
Nae mchele iko na mawe.
Ay. Hata ukiangalia lakini hata haikupikwa sawa. Hii ni mbishori kweli. Unajua ile mchele ito mbishori.
Mbishori.
All right, headlines.
All right, let's talk about the headlines. So the pride of the nation on the front page of the Standard. This girl is golden, and that's for sure. Faith Kipyegon is now the most decorated and the world's best athlete in 2023 by winning 2 gold medals at the World Athletics Championships. Earlier in the year, she broke 3 world records in the 1500 meters, the 5000 meters, and the mile. She did the business in Budapest, that's for sure. And if anybody was doubting, she solidified that by getting 2 gold medals. So Hongera Faith Kipyegon. All right. So there was the drama about the missing yet found yet gone home sugar billionaire. The family of investor Jaswant Rai reported to police about his abduction, and all attempts to know his whereabouts were met with a wall of silence. DCI had grilled him last month. We do know that he went home last evening. So look at the details of that and what on earth is happening. Fees outcry as schools reopen for the shortest term. It's 8 weeks, roundabouts, 8 weeks, closes in October 25th to be precise. And folks still have to fork out, school fees equal to the amount that they did in second term for a lot of schools. So the question is, how are they going to be able to do it? And we have to do that as schools open again tomorrow. The crocodile wins a second term. The Zimbabwe elections were interesting to look at over the weekend, and the responses that have come from that and the encouragements to Zimbabweans. Taxman nets record cash from airports. All right, we'll look at that on the front page of The Nation. The cruel face of corruption. Kenyans are an angry lot, and they have good reason to be, owing to the pain that they go through to access services guaranteed by the Constitution. The process of obtaining essential documents, passports, identity cards, certificates of good conduct, marriage and birth certificates has become an arduous ordeal for citizens. So you want something that is due to you, you have to either pay for it or beg for it. And even after you beg for it, you must now cover the begging with some shillings. And it's not fair. That's what we are being told. Passport, birth certificate, marriage certificate, we'll look at the details of that. Talks have stalled between the TSC and the teachers' unions. They'll receive their August salaries later than usual, depending on the outcome of pay. What? Where are we? Oh, August. Okay.
August.
Depending on the outcome of pay, increased negotiations between their employer and the union scheduled for this morning. So the talks collapsed last week. Everybody was told to go back and have a look at the thing that they had suggested. And the Coupet had told TSC to go back and look at the thing that they had suggested because they were not going to accept it. So talks resumed today. And let's see if there will be white smoke, right?
Cool beans.
We have options should talks fail, says Azimio. These streets are still here. We can go back to them. A few people bring nonsense. Migration offers rich pickings for countries in Budapest show peace, and that's for sure. There's a huge possibility that nations will start to romance athletes with passports and greener pastures. It's an interesting story carried on the back page coming from the World Athletics Championships in Budapest.
The Business Daily has a sector focus on the markets today, as the headline is Capital Flight halves NSE investor wealth. Investor wealth at the NSE has halved since the bourse hit its all-time high valuation of 2.9 trillion shillings exactly 2 years ago, paying the price of foreign investor flight from the markets. Okay, and they do an analysis of what's happening in that market. Credit Bank eyes 1 billion shillings from its listing plan. They have announced plans to list on the NSE by the end of this year, aiming to raise at least 1 billion shillings from the public. This will be the first listing in the exchange's main segment in about a decade, following the self-listing of the NSE itself in 2014. Chika headlines. Police deny holding sugar billionaire Jaswant Singh Rai. Okay. Companies hoard cash amid economic uncertainties. Companies are focusing on cash preservation and growing economic uncertainty characterized by weaker earnings and rising costs. Then KCB Group spent 1.5 billion shillings on a staff voluntary exit program in the half year ended June, as it took advantage of the process to bring in new employees with on-demand skill set. They have now grown their headcount by 779. So they let people go and they let people in. That was staff rationalization. That is what has happened in there. The city.
Yes, please.
Let us know what's on the Star and the East African.
Right. Star. I didn't get the East African.
Yeah.
Yes.
The guy is done like that.
No, it was there. I thought I'd picked it up, but I picked...
you picked 2 stars.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
It's shining brightly.
Something
okay,
like
you can
that.
give me one.
Does it cost the same?
No, it's 2 nations actually.
You picked 2 nations.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I said something like that. Star, I picked 1.
Okay.
All right. Top right-hand corner in teal green. How sugar baron Jaswant Singh Rai was abducted. Stories on page 2. Then, lower down, Sakaja Dishi na County feeding program to be rolled out in phases. Okay. This is a good plan.
Okay.
Police Uniform Committee seeks opinion ahead of planned adoption of new set. So every new head of police comes, we will get new set of uniforms. They're going to confuse us.
Which color do you think they want this time then?
Why don't they just be like Uganda? The different police units have different uniform. The police you see in town, like in Kampala, the uniform is white. You go to the rural areas, the police, the uniform they wear, different. The ones who do God knows what, uniform different. The ones who patrol in those Land Cruisers, uniform different. So why don't you just make these uniforms different so we know who we're dealing with? Because every police chief who comes along, some are committees set up, change uniforms, do what? Anyway. If it makes you happy and if it will improve the police service, change the uniforms by all means. Achievement. Governor Waiguru opens up on her scorecard and tenure as COG chairperson. Right. Now, interestingly enough, bang in the middle of the paper, Ruto sets ground for Raila's plum office. It looks like the government is set to put up a place. First of all, this thing is going to be grounded in law. There will be official office of the opposition. They will have the offices. They'll have staffs. You know staffs? Staffs, yes.
Staffs, yeah.
So it's coming?
It's coming. It'll be funded by government. Okay, but again, this was... The president was quoted and said, so long as, they don't go around, doing those things that they used to do, but an office being set so they can talk from morning to evening. And everything they want to say, they can say from morning to evening.
There.
Yes, Ruto sets ground for Raila's office. Proposed law allocates opposition chief's office 5% of political parties' fund. All right? Then there's a picture here, a horrifying picture. Horrifying. Filth.
What is that?
What on earth?
This is Nairobi River Chief.
Good grief.
Nairobi River Nyangara Nyayo Market on August 22nd. Last week. The Nairobi River Commission, which was tasked with rehabilitation and restoration of Nairobi River Basin, has its work cut out ahead of the African Climate Week 2023, starting September the 4th. Michuki cleaned this thing up. But of course.
Kumbe.
You have seen.
There's something happening next week. Climate talks.
Yes.
So let the river become dirty so then we can urgently release some money.
to
go and clean the river.
Cleanify the river.
Even
as we are getting new uniforms for police officers, we can also clean the
river. At the Nairobi River what? Commission.
This one, let me just...
That's the Waitito one.
It's called Nairobi Rivers Commission. It's not just river. Rivers.
Rivers, eh?
Yes, because there's more than one river in Nairobi.
There's no river in Nairobi. Those are just streams and brooks.
Nairobi river streams. Is that better?
Okay, tell us about traffic and then we look at these stories. 25 minutes to 7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, we're looking at heavy traffic on Landis Road this morning. Not surprising. We'll see a lot of movement on Landis. Folks getting out of the city, going back to school today, that's for sure. All right, getting on to Kamkunji and then on to Haile Selassie. We have in and outbound traffic on Haile Selassie this morning, and it's heavy. Quite some. Also looking at Jogo Road, traffic then going into this direction generally is also doing the thing. On the Thika Superhighway, traffic then coming in past the Outer Ring Junction. Even before that, we're looking at traffic coming off Garden City. And it will then be quite heavy as you approach the Pangani Underpass and then out towards Wangari Maathai or towards Murang'a Road. Are you coming out of Westlands? You should be all right. All the way into the city and then on toward where you're going this morning. There's no traffic coming into Westlands, not at this point, but we'll see that build up later. We're also looking at a little bit of movement on the northern bypass. Ruaka Road, then coming in from Kitisuru, United Nations Avenue, Red Hill Road. All of this looks pretty good. So if you're heading in this direction or you're coming out from these areas, you should be fine for now. But we're going to see a pickup of the same as we get closer to 7 o'clock. Let's take a look around that time and see what it does. Spice FM KE on X. Let's keep things moving this morning.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Told how service delivery has dipped as corruption takes root in government. Takes root only now. All right. Kenyans are a very angry lot, and they have good reason to be, judging by the frustrations they experience in accessing public service guaranteed to them under the Constitution. The process of applying for and obtaining essential documents, from passports to identity cards, certificates of good conduct, certificates of marriage and birth, is proving to be a mess for citizens. What is becoming clear is that applying for and receiving services are two different things in actual practice. Last month, what started as a frustrated Kenyan's angry rant on social media about how difficult it is to get basic services from government offices quickly went viral, with hundreds of citizens joining the fray to confirm that nothing seems to be working. So if you apply for official documentation being identity in one way or another, identity of marriage, identity of birth, identity of citizenship by form of an ID or a passport, you're going to be met with frustration. We saw many things happening at the same time as well. The CS for Interior, Professor Kidiki, talking about certain things now, a few months before had said immigration department is a crime scene and had given people how many days? Some 60 days to do whatever. Okay. Then in August, we saw that things were actually not working, and he has now called it a what? A crime scene proper. Very difficult for you to get your passport, and they'd given orders that certain things ought to be done. We had heard the explanations before about machine broken down and what. But the truth of the matter remains this. Today, if you're going to apply for documentation at whatever level, for your child, for your spouse, for your whomever, that it is clear that you're going to have to grease the palms of the individual who is getting this documentation for you, if you want to get it quickly or if you want to get it at all. And this is what the cry is, that it is becoming more and more frustrating by the day for something that is guaranteed to you under the Constitution, and that corruption has now taken root properly in government. Before it was just somehow. Now it is what?
It's entrenched.
That's right.
Properly.
So it's a problem.
So what's the story saying?
So that's the story, that service quality has dipped because of corruption. So people are not doing what they ought to do, and people are almost expecting that if you're coming to get a documentation, which is your right, that you must bribe them first, or you must offer some kind of gratitude to them in order for them to do their job. And it's a worrying state of things, and it's a looking thing, as we would say.
It actually gets worse when it's systems that are not functioning. Like in the case of passports, right? So why is it? Kithure Kindiki has talked about this passport thing many times, and now he's calling it a crime scene. Nyayo House is a crime scene. I'm going to deal with it perpendicularly and decisively. I will clean up Nyayo House once and for all. We will seal it off and declare it a crime scene. The corruption there has a direct relation with some of our ongoing problems, such as insecurity and terrorism, he said, adding that the passport backlog is at 58,000. So we will seal it off. Did he seal it off immediately? He didn't seal it off immediately. What exactly is he saying?
I don't know. You know, the Honorable Minister needs to understand this talking doesn't help. Not really. One minister comes up, makes some bold statement. They're no longer bold statements. They are tiresome statements.
Yeah.
Don't tell us what you're going to do. Let us know, because
when you've done it.
Yes, let us know that, you know, this is what has happened in the Department of Immigration.
Yeah.
A new alert has been sent out to all the people who had applied for new. They are going to receive their passport. Let that be the message, not what you are going to do.
Yeah.
No. Just do it. Do it.
I think we need to now start putting up some fire under Kithure Kindiki's seats, because clearly this passport issue has been lingering for long.
Oh man!
He was given a report. He was told, "Boss, this thing ikoshida." He said, "I'm going to sort it. We're going to deal with it." It's still an issue.
It's getting worse, actually.
It's chaotic. Look at what he's doing. So we have military officers and police officers undertaking some security operation in the north.
Do we know?
It's been going on for months. What's happening there?
We don't have any report.
We have no idea what's going on.
The things they said they were going to do we know whether they were accomplished or not? No, we do not.
It doesn't talk about them. It doesn't say, so what have we done?
No update.
Have we pacified the area? Are the bandits? Have we arrested anybody? Have you seen anybody being taken to court? Nobody has been taken to court. Nobody has been arrested.
Nope.
No file has been taken to the ODPP.
Nope.
For prosecution.
I'm sorry. But look, I really feel in my heart of hearts that this is just speech.
It's too much talk.
They know very well, if you wanted to close the taps on corruption at the immigration department, just that. Forget about all these other places. Forget about Sharia House and all these other things. If you wanted to close that thing at immigration, they know who exactly is involved in it. They know exactly what's going on. If there's a faulty machine, they are very aware of it. But it's this lackadaisical attitude like, whatever. Then you come and tell Kenyans and speak tough and speak forcefully and think that that's enough. It's not. Okay, call it a crime scene, shut it down. What happens? Look at, you guys, just picture this. We talk about a one government approach, which is what government is doing right now. One government approach, okay? On one side, you're saying, actually, we want to open up opportunities for Kenyans. Who says you can't export your human resource? Export that to other parts of the world. Let Kenyans go and work and earn a living and come back. Okay. How are they supposed to do it? Which paper are they supposed to use to travel? How are they supposed to do it? Then you're saying you're going to shut it down. That's a crime scene. 58,000
people in the waiting. We'll deal with it. You know, the machine. Oh, your machine. You know, we are borrowing a photocopier.
When?
A joker.
We're borrowing. The filter. What?
Tona imeisha.
You know, the minister.
It drives me crazy.
Actually, he's actually charting a new path. And in fact, one could say that is a proposal and a prospectus telling us how, as a CS, how to guarantee that you lose any reputation that you had by virtue of being in your job.
This is it.
No, this is it.
Complete.
Step by step by step, to the point where you get, no one wants to hear anything you have to say. I mean, you will say it.
People hear Kithure Kindiki, they're like,
okay. What else?
Yet, this was a revered academician, somebody who people looked up to and said, you know, we've got someone here who I think we can put our faith in, and somebody who we believe will do things right.
Deputy Speaker of the Senate.
Ridiculous. You guys.
And all those things. So we're talking about this Nyayo House as an issue, right? We're talking about the North, security operation. Yeah. Let's go to Shakahola. What is happening at Shakahola?
Okay, so I read something.
When will it ever end?
Yeah, I read something just the latest report now is that you see that thing that we did some 3 weeks ago when exhumations now stopped, and then now they're going back to DNA. We have come back to that one again now. Exhumation has stopped.
Now we are
now checking this one. Now, when we finish checking this one, in another 2 weeks, we'll go back to exhumation. There still is the possibility that there are many more buried bodies inside Shakahola. What on earth? Do you need help? Okay. Deploy your NYS. Give them temporary status to be able to help you.
It's a delicate operation.
Oh, stop it.
To exhume bodies is a delicate operation. To conduct postmortem is a delicate operation.
But of interest.
To do DNA tests is a delicate operation. This thing, it's been going, this is 6 months down the road.
I'm telling you.
Yep. More than 6 months. We are still talking about Shakahola. We are still...
We don't know what happened. Investigations cannot continue. The people that you arrested are just there, sitting there, waiting for their day in court.
Take them to court, take them back. You go there and say, Your Honor, we need to separate these people because now they are copulating inside. What the hell? These guys are new guys.
Then you cannot continue with the investigation because a vital part of that investigation is lying buried in Shakahola. And until we exhume everything, then we cannot continue. Meanwhile, we keep them there. Meanwhile, they're forming more families inside the prison. I mean, for crying out loud.
Mchezo.
Kabisa.
Mchezo. Kithure Kindiki, just do your job, man. Any story is a story.
The painful part about this passport thing, they'll tell you, there's a backlog. You go to
let me tell you
today with 10,000. You'll get your passport tomorrow.
Listen. The government now wants to lease high-capacity passport printing machines from private investors to help clear the backlog. Interior CS Kithure Kindiki told Parliament that the leasing arrangement will mirror the medical equipment leasing arrangement that the Ministry of Health had.
Now look at this.
Their capital cost is very high. We'll have to rely on some private sector funding through leasing without compromising on security.
No.
He told MPs that the government is looking at hosting the documents and government data, even as it moves towards leasing the machines from private investors.
No.
Do you remember what Anglo leasing was all about?
Yes.
Part of it was passports.
Yes.
Similar story.
Anglo fleecing.
Yes, they were supposed to bring this swanky, up-to-date, interstellar equipment that was
intergalactic
almost. Yes, and then lo and behold, what then happened?
Nada, please.
But then, I mean, does he not hear what he's saying? It's like telling us that Delarue are going to look for private investors who are also going to help them printing 5 bob notes. Yeah, because they're incapacitated. Man, passports. Do you have any document that you can consider more secure? Passports, IDs. How?
Nothing.
And you're telling us you want to give this to some private person, which means you already have those machines. Yep. This is already planned. You're telling us after the fact, isn't it? All right, Professor.
Yep.
You have decided to dip your toe into these murky waters.
Joking. The other thing, when this administration came into office, they were like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what these guys were doing. They even had a container here in Nairobi where they were shooting people.
And dipping them in acid.
And killing them. And we are disbanding that killer squad. And we are firing this man called Kinoti. And we are doing all this. We will never see a return of this.
Okay.
Jaswant Singh was abducted by unknown people. DCI boss Amin Mohammed said Rai was not being held by his officers. We are not holding him. We do not have a detention facility. The matter is under investigation. The man was returned. All right? When police cannot find you in 24 hours after they've been told that you have been kidnapped by unknown people, the CCTV footage that shows stuff.
It is a dirty lie. I said, you people, do you remember the prisoner who escaped from Kakamega prison? Supposedly escaped. And he was found somewhere in Ukambani less than 24 hours later. By who?
This year. Committee. There were some 3 guys who also thought they had terrorists. Yes, they thought they had escaped.
Who thought they themselves?
Yeah, they thought they had escaped. No, honestly, they thought they had escaped. See, they were found. Look.
Can't tell me nonsense.
The problem is this. There's a trail of evidence with the previous government that when you hear such statements, it's like an echo. It's the same thing you used to hear before. To the point where citizens formed an opinion. If this person hasn't been found over a period of time, that person is gone. They no longer exist. forget. So it is your guess. Now, this government comes and tells us these guys had a container. So we know, oh, so that's why they were disappearing, is it? Oh, there was acid. Oh, so that's why they were taking them. Now, you are government, and we're hearing something similar, and you want us to believe that it's different. In that previous government, there were people who were also abducted, as we said, in the same manner, and were released. And DCI said they had no idea
who it was.
No idea.
Dennis Itumbi will swear he was kidnapped by police officers.
He gave a blow-by-blow detail of what happened.
And they hurt him.
Yes.
Badly.
Yes, they did. And he reported it.
And
And they said,
the cop said,
no. David who? I know, sorry. We're not really sure. So now, we are back to that same story again, are we? But worse still, ID, passport, a uniform. My question is, what else? Because these things have already been organized. They've been planned for.
Yeah.
And yet, so we'll get to this story.
So people suffer just so that some guy can come and send us some passport printing machine.
Yes, that's exactly what is happening here. When you talk about Anglo leasing, what exactly were we dealing with? The very thing which was promised never came to be. The MES, billions and billions of taxpayers' money spent on things that people did not need.
Equipment. It was a brilliant idea when it was conceived by that government officer sitting somewhere burning the midnight oil thinking, okay, how can we sort out our health issue? It was hijacked.
Yes, it was.
By people in government.
Yes.
Uko na nini? Lete hiyo CT scan. Lete hiyo tupeleke Wajir. Uko na nini? Lete hiyo tupeleke Marara. Uko na nini? Lete yako. Aya. They need reagents. They need people to be trained. Do
you know what also happened, which we don't talk about much? Very many reputable firms, international firms that deal with this equipment had their reputation soiled because of this.
Because of this nonsense?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were doing what they knew they were supposed to do. Little did they know.
They were caught up.
They were caught up in something that they did not know, and it also wasn't of their making.
Yeah. No. And all this is on Kithuro Kindiki's ministry.
No, to the government, one government in general, things that are happening. No, let him just be sitting down there. Now, the Presidential Working Party on educational reforms also then did bring out certain things that need to be done.
Didn't they just?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Now, this is the shortest term of the year. It comes to an end come 26th of October. 30, 31st, and 1st of November, the final class 8s will sit the
KCPE. Final, completely.
It will not happen again, according to what they've told us. They will sit their KCPE. All right? Come January 2024, we will all now enter into CBC proper.
We will.
This is the year where the the people were in fourth form.
And it's not the year of the cow.
No, it's not the ear of the cow.
No.
They'll start doing what?
So we're supposed to enter into
CBC,
STEM and arts.
Remember that one?
Remember?
The girls who do Form 4 this year?
Yes. No, the people who are getting into Form 4
will come January.
January. Now, towards the pathways, thank you very much, I had forgotten the word. Pathways are supposed to start being formed for us to enter into high school. Okay?
Okay.
Now, we don't know.
By who? Is it the current grade 7s who will be the first ones to do that? Because they'll be the first ones to go into senior.
Yes.
Right?
So
It's not the Form 4.
Not Form 4. Sorry. When I say Form 4, I'm thinking high school generally. Okay? So now the current grade 7s who ordinarily would have gone to grade 8, or rather class 8, now are going into grade 8. And they are now starting to form the pathways. We kept quiet about capitation and things like that, and there are arrears because, children were on holiday, so we kind of forgot that anything really is happening as concerns school. So we're going back to school tomorrow, and then we're going to start shouting about how these things have not yet been done. Capitation has not yet been sent. Arrears from last term have not been completed, and we need that to be done. There are 2 very short months before January. Because forget about December. Usually by the time Jamhuri Day comes and goes, everybody has shut down. So the question is, what happens when we now come into Presidential Working Party? The proposals that they gave, have they been adopted for action? Are they going to be implemented? Who is carrying this burden? What exactly is happening? How is this going to play out come January 2024?
Right.
Eh?
Right.
Okay. It's supposed to happen, but, maybe some kind of magic will happen. Houdini will visit and say, abracadabra, and we are ready.
Where? If you look at the report,
add that to the things that
you see the report of the Presidential Working Party.
Yeah.
And we spoke to the President's education advisor here. And remember asking him, this thing, it should be implemented in 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 1 year. 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 1 year.
How is this going to work out?
What? Are they aware?
Are they aware that 6 months? Are they aware that
we're already
January
into the
comes after
second month?
December? Are
we
aware
are
that
already into the second month. Are you seeing implementation happening? These people are joking.
6 months is January, my friends. Are you people with me here? That's what I'm trying to tell you.
And January is already here.
We're in the second month, and then there is September, October, November, December. Imeisha. January is now when this thing is supposed to be rolling out. Are you understanding?
Do you see it rolling out?
Hey.
I don't see it rolling out.
Yeah.
Look at the major things that are happening in education. Number one, decategorization of schools. Right?
It's
putting everybody on the same.
That thing isn't decategorization. That thing is disruption. Because what really are they doing? In all honesty, what is actually going to change? How is all this? Because this thing is supposed to benefit the learner. How are all these things going to benefit the learner? The CBC on paper, you can actually see what they mean when they say the learner will benefit. You can see it. But these are the things, how exactly? So somehow, improvement means disruption, and disruption means improvement.
While all this is happening, the teachers cannot agree whether they want to continue teaching because you people have not paid them the money you said you pay them.
And then TSC is going back to what? Ministry.
As a department.
No. Yes, it's not going back to the ministry.
As a department or what?
No. It is the quality control.
Right? No, bro.
Quality assurance has now been taken back to the ministry.
Bro, I am not going to change what I have said.
TSC is going to the ministry.
Yes.
What are we trying to say with all of this? That there seems to be a huge mess up. It doesn't matter where you look, that there's a mess everywhere.
There's complete chaos.
Chaos.
Look at what happened on Friday. All right? Blackout. Do we know what caused the blackout? They say there was an overvoltage. Overvoltage then led to one Lake Turkana wind power shutting down because Lake Turkana has gone down. Other systems out. Okay, so they say Lake Turkana comes and says, "Hey, boss,
it was not us, man.
There was an issue in the system, and that's why our system had to go down."
I asked one question. Chairperson Joy Medieval said that our engineers have been working all night. I asked one question. Doing what?
She restoring power.
Working on, if something is broken, I say I'm repairing the glass, Abi. I'm asking the question, what was the problem that you were fixing?
Can we discuss in the third hour?
Yes, we can. But I just want to know, maybe somebody has the answer.
No, let's give this thing a little more attention in the third hour.
They are jokers. And then airport guys, there was no generator. There have been generators that have been here sitting for 2 years.
We've never had need to use them.
Let's commission them now. Please, let's.
Jokers. It doesn't matter where you look.
Murukumen let go of those people. He's the one who should have stepped down first.
Where?
Because a disaster of this magnitude. No, you don't sack the CEO or operations. What you, minister, you. It's you to blame. It is your ministry. And the other people who deal with the energy, them at least they're clever. They've kept quiet. They don't say anything. Nothing. Zoop.
My goodness.
Anyway.
It doesn't matter where you look today. There's a problem.
In the next hour, let's talk about TVET. And I said TVET stands for what?
Technical, vocational, training
and education. Yes.
All those are inside there.
So, the boss of the TVET authority, that is the regulator of TVETs in the country, is joining us in the next hour, and we'll be talking about a competition that's being launched today. The first Wild Skills Kenya National Competition. What's it all about? You want to know? Of course you do want to know. What does it mean? You want to know? Of course you do want to know. Dr. Kipkirui Langat, who is the boss of TVET Authority, is here with us. Good morning, 7 a.m.
Good morning, this is New Time Dennis Aseto. Kabra's Sugar chairperson Jaswant Singh Rai has been released by his abductors. The release came 2 days after the drama that was captured on security cameras. His lawyer, Senior Counsel Okoh confirmed Rai had been released Sunday. The lawyer said his client was set free 2 days after he was abducted at the junction along Wood Avenue in Kilimani Friday. He said the businessman was shaken but fine and back with his family. President William Ruto had earlier attacked and singled out Rai of the Rai Group over the state of sugar industry in Western Kenya.
Kwa hivyo mimi msikuwe na wasiwasi, niko hapo chonjo kabisa, nitahakikisha hiki kitu ikakaa chonjo. Na wakora wote wale wako katikati, msikuwe na wasiwasi ati kuna mtu atakuja kutuongelesha Kiingereza hapa, sijui muhindi fulani, sijui nani. Hapana, hiyo haiwezekani. Sijui mwingine ananiambia Rai nani? Hapana, hiyo haiwezekani. Hiyo no. Hii ni mali ya wananchi na hatuwezi kukubali mtu ambaye ata take advantage of people in this region. Nobody is going to take advantage of anybody.
A National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah has dared Azimio leader Raila Odinga to go ahead and restart street protest if his objective is to resort to blackmail during the bipartisan discussions with the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Leading the 5-member delegation of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance in the negotiations, Ichung'wah cautioned that they would disengage from the talks should even the faintest trace of blackmail emerge from the Odinga team.
Tumesema tutaongea na Kalonzo na tutasemezana polepole. Mambo ya vita, mambo ya vurugu, mambo ya violence itakuwa mambo ambayo lazima ikome Kenya hii kwa siasa zetu. Siasa itakuwa ni siasa inayoangazia maisha ya mwananchi na vile tutaboresha maisha ya mwananchi. As much as we have agreed to dialogue with our friends led by our brother Kalonzo Musyoka, we indicated that we shall dialogue so that the use of violence as a means of political engagement in our country comes to an end.
Expressing dedication to the negotiations with aspirations that they will address several of the nation's issues and curtail violence, Ichung'wah emphasized that the practice of leveraging blackmail for political gain in the country will be obsolete.
And we made it clear, Your Excellency, from our first meeting that we shall not engage in an environment of blackmail. And it is sad, yesterday niliona huyo mtu wa maandamano na fujo threatening the people of Kenya with blackmail in Kitengela. And I want to tell my friend Raila Odinga, please don't blackmail the people of Kenya using violence. We shall engage with you and your people only if you do not blackmail the people of Kenya using violence. If you want to blackmail the people of Kenya using violence, if you have a predetermined outcome of what you want out of the talks, things will not work that way, my brother. Sababu huwezi kuja kwa mazungumzo ukiwa na nia moja peke yake na useme kama sio hivi nitarudi kwa maandamano. Kama unataka kurudi, rudi kesho, usingoje siku nyingine.
Religious leaders have criticized Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua following his remarks that the talks between the government and the opposition will not succeed. According to them, the statement may threaten peace and force opposition leaders to return to the streets. Speaking in Kakamega County during a meeting with church leaders, the Archbishop of African Ministry of Healing Church, Daniel Shohunjira, said statements among the country's leaders may affect peace in the country.
Sisi tunataka amani itumu katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, na naibu wetu Bwana Rigathi Gachagua matamshi yake inakuwa kalikali, lakini ninaomba tu atulize hiyo matamshi kwa sababu sisi tunataka nchi yetu iwe na amani. Ndiposa serikali ya Rais wetu William Samoei Ruto na yeye pia vile wanasaidiana, serikali iheshimiwe.
Teacher salaries may be delayed following the ongoing tension regarding the increase in salaries they are entitled to be paid according to the President's directives and promise, as well as the announcement by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. NAT, Kupet and Kuzna teachers are expected today to again meet with TSC after a previous meeting held last week failed to bear fruits. According to the unions, TSC is proposing an increase of between 2.4% and 9.5% instead of 7% and 10%. They term the decision oppressive as other government employees have received their increment as per the SRC guidelines.
We had the first talks with the Teacher Service Commission last week. We are finalizing the talks on Monday. And we had a small challenge with them because you had given us 7 to 10% as a promissory note to cushion the teachers and all the workers of Kenya. But when we arrived there, we saw the percentage was small, Your Excellency.
This is News. I'm Dennis Onsedo. Good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
All right, closer to traffic hour now. We're looking at movement in many different parts of the city. That has already started to build up now on the northern bypass, spilling over then towards Limuru Road, and we'll see that coming out to the CBD. On Jogo Road is busy, Landis Road busier, as well as getting onto Haile Selassie, and it's very busy for a change on the Thika Superhighway. We're looking at Outer Ring Junction traffic all the way through and through. The service lanes look good. There's an option for you to use this morning. And coming in from Westlands is also very busy this morning at the northern bypass. Like we said, movement there. Coming in from Gong Road is moving. Nothing too painful at the moment. Keeping an eye on things, Spice FM KE on X. Let's keep things moving this morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Welcome to the second hour of the biggest conversation in the country. This is The Situation Room on Spice FM, also now live on KTN Home, live on YouTube and Facebook. Karibu sana, everybody. Somebody's commenting that they didn't see you in Nakuru.
They didn't see me in Nakuru?
Hey, I'm wondering.
Why not?
Where were they?
Surely. How could they not have seen me in Nakuru? Where were they looking?
Allah?
Surely.
Hey, like that thing was a hit.
It was.
Ilishika.
It was.
Iliwaka moto.
Many people.
Iliwaka moto. Everybody who turned out for the Choma na Ngoma Festival, thank you very much. It was lit. Literally. Okay. So, we have a guest joining us now in the studio. He is Dr. Kipkirui Langat. He is the Director General of the TVET Authority. TVET again, Ndu?
Technical, educational, vocational training.
Fuatanisha.
Oh, you want me to
TVET.
VET. V is
T.
vocational. Education. Training.
Now add the A of Dr. Langat's body.
What do you mean add the A?
TVETA. It's not Taveta. He is not the Director General of Taveta. No. He's the Director General of TVET Authority. And that's regulator. Dr. Langat, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana for joining us on the hot seat of the Situation Room. How is it? Comfortable?
Good.
Very good.
So far.
Very good.
Yeah.
CT has the day's proverb to welcome you to the show. And this week's proverbs will be from?
South Africa.
South Africa.
Yes.
Okay.
If you start looking for flies in your food, it means you are full.
What does it mean?
Umeshiba. Anza kutafuta enzi kwa chakula. Umeshiba.
You're trying to get an excuse not to eat.
Thank you. Thank you. You've got it. Yeah. As they say in Kiswahili, unatafuta kisababu. Unajua kuna dalili. Naona mabawa hapa ya enzi. Enzi yenyewe sioni. Eat the food.
Unatafuta kisababu kupitia kiulizo.
Kupitia kiulizo. What do you think the South Africans are saying with this?
Well, I think when you have an opportunity, take advantage of that opportunity. Don't try to ask or find out why this opportunity is existing and why no one else has looked at it other than you. Yeah.
If it's yours, it's yours.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it.
But you still have it.
Yes.
Last week, we had a conversation with the Principal Secretary of the State Department for TVET.
Yes.
And now you are the Director General of TVET Authority. So we know what TVET is.
Yes.
What is the authority?
Well, the authority, and I like, in most cases, explaining to people, because they have known Commission for University for a very long time, which is the regulator for the university education subsector in this country. So in a layman language, I normally tell people we are the CUE for TVET. In other words, we are the regulator for the TVET subsector. Yeah, basically, we try to make sure that the TVET sector speaks to the requirement of the stakeholders. In this case, the expectation of the industry, the expectation of the learners, the expectation of the government in terms of the TVET sector providing the skills are required for the socioeconomic development of this country. So ours is to make sure that we put in place our systems that includes accreditation and registration of institution. We look at the curriculum that speaks to the demand of the industry. We look at who is training, because the human resource is very critical component towards realization of the skills that we develop. So we do register trainers. We also provide for requirements of who becomes a trainer, which is eligibility criteria for registration, and by extension it informs those who are training that by the time this individual is getting out of our training system, either university or a college, it meets the requirement for registration. And basically we engage stakeholders to get feedback, and that feedback is what we use to provide advisories to government from time to time, either to change policy or to come with new policies, link the relevant stakeholders to what the governments require in terms of engagement.
How many TVETs have you accredited or licensed in the country?
So far, we have close to 2,400, of which around 240 in the Ministry of Education. You've had the government trying to put a TVET in every constituency. So far, we have out of 290, about 52 constituencies without. But in terms of operationalization, because what we register is what is ready to start in terms of infrastructure equipment. So we have about 240, and then in line ministries, we have about another 45 every ministry. You remember those days, and probably you know, you used to be employed by public service, then you are taken to college, then you come and work. So we have institutions like Bugura, Water Institute, Ahiti, Railway Training Institute. Those are what we call public institutions in line ministries. There are 45. In fact, the youngest is Integrity Academy by ESCC. Then we have close to 1,000 private institutions, and then another 1,000 vocational training centers. These are in counties, what we used to call village polytechnics. Now we call vocational. So in total about 2,400 with a combined total population about 600,000.
Oh, total population is 600,000.
Yes.
How many go in every year?
In every year, it's about 300,000 if you bring in private, and of course, if you remember the recent released placement by COOPS, we had about 145,000 going to TVET, public TVET institution, but that is basically those who apply directly. We have those who are called walk-in. They see you on a Monday going into institution and they follow you, get admission. But eventually when institution do returns, and then combine with what we have in the private sector, and then we normally don't report many of those who go to vocational training centers, but we have a system of accounting for them. So close to about 300,000. Still, comparing with our population economy, that is still a small number, because for it to be effective, average of between 5 to 10% of the population should be in TVET. So with a population of close to 55 or 50, conservatively 53, then at least minimum 2.5 to 3 million of our young people should be in TVET.
There's often been the concern about the level of skill then that those who go into TVETs will come out with, and what that can compare to. So what have we seen over time then that would lead to that many more people should actually be going to TVETs to get skills that would be useful and relevant in the Kenyan economy or even globally?
Yeah, actually the unique challenges that the challenges that we have in this country is not only unique to us, it's across the globe in terms of how people perceived vocational training. And probably that is the theme of the day, or what we will be discussing. But essentially, the things that sometimes make people not really to look at vocational training as a first choice is how we regard it as a society, and especially in Africa, where we started seeing the white-collar jobs to be associated with the white people. You are a boss, and you're supposed to be in a good office and so forth. So everyone aspired when you want going to school, that I want to go to school, finish school, and then get that white-collar job. Again, the blue-collar job seems to be more punitive because it was mainly associated with the African and the rest. But I think we've tried to change this narrative over time. One of the things that must be done is to have a relevant training system, so that whatever you are learning in the vocational training speaks to what the industry demands. And in that case, when you see the graduates going to get jobs and have a better life, that would be a motivating factor to those who want to go. The second one is in terms of the investment that we put into this institution, in terms of infrastructure and equipment. If you come from somewhere in this country, and sometimes you find some of these institutions like vocational training centers very dilapidated, no infrastructure. No one will want to go and take a photo of especially the young people and put it in the social media that I'm in this institution. So again, what the government is doing is to make sure that there's investment in this institution to facelift the infrastructure, and thirdly is making sure that we improve on our curriculum so that we speak to the demand of the industry. And of course, we also put other incentives like financing, giving these students funding so that you don't really struggle to go through that. Over time, in fact, from the last 4 years, the numbers that went up in public was less than 100,000 sometime 4 years ago to around now about 395,000 in public institutions. And this is attributed to all these initiatives that the government has done.
One of the things that I've often wondered about is when we put the amount of effort and investment in some of these institutions, what is the guarantee that we're actually marrying all these efforts with the needs that the country has? Because every so often you hear from credible sources that there's a bit of a mismatch. You don't have well-trained plumbers.
Yes.
You don't have, I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and precisely that is one of the role of the TVET authority is to make sure that before you approve that curriculum, before you register that institution to train in a specific trade area, there must be relevancy in what we do. Of course, you must have seen there are a lot of changes that have happened in the education and training system in this country right from 2010. One of the things that the 2010 Constitution enshrine is making education and training, especially quality, relevance, access to this education and training as a constitutional requirement. And after that, we made a lot of reforms to come up with the agencies like TVET Authority. We have Kenya National Qualification Authority, which basically trying to provide us with pathways of education from basic all the way to university. We have Kenya Universities and Colleges and Placements, Central Placement Service, which I think most of you have been dealing with for the last few months in terms of placement of this. So all these were part of the reforms to align our education to the new constitution. We are now trying to put relevance in terms of, I mentioned issues of investment, both in terms of equipment and infrastructure and the trainers. So when we marry the four, infrastructure, equipment, trainer, and curriculum, you are supposed to produce a relevant graduate. The other thing, and which I think we still informative stages in realizing this, is now having a direct engagement with the labor market. What happened in the jurisdiction that have succeeded is having education and training driven by the labor market demand. So we have what we call, for example, in the TVET sector, National Skills Council. National Skills Council mainly constitute industry players. So they normally prescribe what are the requirements in the industry in terms of what we call occupational standards. Occupational standards are performance criteria of works in industry. And then you derive that occupational standards to inform what is goes to curriculum. The other one is establishing what we call the labor market information system. This gather the data of what is required in the labor market now and in future. Because again, training takes some time. 1 year, 2 years, probably a diploma takes about 3 years. So when you are looking at the future demands of the skills, then when you start crafting a curriculum, you need to be very certain by the time this individual finishes 3 years, he will still be relevant. So that speaks then, that mismatch is where the industry must speak to what the institutions is doing.
From what you've observed, the demand for these courses, is it something that is on an upward trajectory?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I've said. In the last 3 years, we have moved from around 300, less than 100,000 to about 395. But I'm still saying this is still very low compared to. So there is, and there are a lot of aspects that can also push this. If you look at what we consume as a society, both at the family level and even at the institutional level. Sometimes we import things that are not even necessary to be imported. The reason is we are not able to probably source them locally. The reason is some of the things that promote what we call investment, local investment, both either by locals or foreign, is among other things the availability of skilled labor, because labor contributes to close to 30 to 40% of productivity in any business. So if you have low quality labor, then it makes sure it contribute to your service was good being expensive. So one of the things that we're looking at it, if we improve the quality of labor, then we'll be able to attract people who are coming to invest here. And then some of the things that we are importing, which I really don't want to mention. In fact, I've been challenging colleagues. If you walk into a supermarket, for example, from the first shelf, be it be foodstuff, be it be electronics, be it be hardware, very simple things, including utensil, you can see where they come from. There's no magic in terms of how to produce this. So if we fixed a few things here and there, and we are able to produce this locally, then we will increase the number of job opportunities, and that means we will increase the number of demands for vocational training, because we will require more of these people to do these jobs.
So will we be matching our training needs and the outcomes with international standards?
Precisely, and what the World Skills is doing, and probably the discussion of this. Interestingly, if you look at the history of World Skills, it started in 1946, somewhere in Spain. And this was immediately after the Second World War. Europe was reconstructing, and there were no skills. So, and even young people were also not interested in going this. So Spain and Portugal thought of an idea of trying to come up with a competition to encourage young people to go to vocational. Then the first competition was in 1950 between Spain and Portugal. I don't know how old you are in 1950, because you look at the only wisdom.
I hadn't been born yet, but if we push it 8 years from 50, then we'll get to my birthday.
Okay. We're talking about the 50s.
Yeah.
This is the previous century. Yes.
You look, you are the only wisdom around, based on the proverbs you gave out. So that was the essence of this. And then over time, it went to entire Europe. As we are speaking, there are 85 countries that are members of the World Skills International. It used to be called, when it started, World Skills Olympics, because it was mirrored with the Olympics, of athletics and the rest. But because they are going to compete in making items, then eventually, to make it unique and distinct, it was called World Skills International. We are 85 members now. Kenya is member number 84. We still have one more member who joined after us. And interestingly, out of these 85 member countries, constitute 2/3 of the world population, and controls 90% of the world's GDP. So it means the entire of Europe, the entire of America, most economies in East Asia, or in Asia, and a few countries in Africa. We actually Kenya is member number 9 in Africa, and so far the last born. There is no other country after us in 2020. And the countries in Africa the first one was South Africa in 1990, which of course you know the history of South Africa. Then it was followed by I think Tunisia, Morocco in 90s also. Then around 2010 we had countries like Egypt in 2014, Namibia, just because of their proximity with South Africa in 2011, and all up to 2020. We joined in 2020, but 2019 Ghana and Uganda. So basically what this, and to answer your question, is World Skills try to support the development of vocational training by internationalizing the occupational standards. The occupational standard that derive performance criteria of work in industry. They sit and look at these skills. Currently, we have 63 skill sets in World Skills International that are competed for. And things like floor tiling, wall tiling, carpentry and joinery, these traditional skills, to more advanced artificial intelligence, cybersecurity and so forth. So what the industry look at is assess the performance requirement in the industry, develop these standards, and then give it to institutions to develop their curriculum. When you train, the only other way you know that you have trained and these people are well trained is when you subject them to a task. And it makes it more interesting when they compete. And when they are competing, they look at three things in terms of understanding on what you need to do. So we look at the understanding, then how to do it, and for how long. So there are three aspects in this: the understanding, and then the actual performance, and the timing of this, because you must complete this task in a given time. So with this vocational, competition or skills competition, we are eventually internationalizing our vocational training, because the occupational standard that we are using here to define the task are the same one which is done in China, in UK, in America, because eventually all these individuals will meet in one point, all of them to compete globally.
Let's take a break. It's 7:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, hosting Dr. Kipkirui Langat. He is the Director General of the TVET Authority. This is the regulator of the TVET sector in the country. We're talking about World Skills, the first World Skills Kenya national competition. He'll be telling us what this is all about in the next few minutes as we take this break. Remember, we'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it is corruption, whether it is murder, whether it is petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic, that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Cloudy conditions this morning at 13, highs of 25 and lows of 12. We'll see lows of 13 in a sunny Nakuru and going to highs of 26. Previous was Nairobi. Partly sunny at 15, highs of 23 and lows of 14. And at 13, Eldoret is sunny at going to highs of 24 and lows of 11. Mombasa is sunny at 24, highs of 29 and lows of 23. And we'll see lows of 24 in a sunny Malindi at 25, going to highs of 29. It's 19 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 30. And we'll see highs of 28 in a sunny Kakamega at 17. 21 and sunny in Kampala, highs of 28 and lows of 18. And looking into Dar es Salaam, it's cloudy at 26, highs of 29 and lows of 23. 5 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 24 and 21, and lows of 4. It's cloudy at 24 in Lagos, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 30 in a cloudy Kinshasa, currently at 24, going down to lows of 23. All right, very busy on the Thika Superhighway this morning. We're looking at bumper-to-bumper traffic all the way from well beyond the Outer Ring Junction, well coming in from the Safari Park Hotel out towards the Tusker Village Junction and then through towards GSU headquarters. It's very, very busy and it's chock-a-blocked all the way into the CBD past the Pangani Underpass. We're looking at movement on Kiambu Road as well. It's going to be extremely busy for some time now. And look at Limuru Road all the way past City Park and then past the hospital into the CBD. There's also incoming traffic on Wangari Maathai Way, so all of that will meet in the city this morning. Coming in from Westlands, we're also seeing the same kind of business, and we're also seeing heavy traffic on Uhuru Highway into the CBD. All right, we're going to keep an eye on things, but we're in traffic hour proper now. Let's know what's going on where you are. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on X.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
It still some more time to have a conversation with Dr. Kipkirui Langat, Director General of the TVET Authority, on the first WorldSkills Kenya national competition. Let's now go a couple of steps back. Number one, what is WorldSkills and who owns WorldSkills?
Okay. Good question. WorldSkills is a partnership of countries that are promoting vocational training. As I mentioned, the essence of WorldSkills that is coming in terms of competition is to create a platform that will attract young people to like and go for vocational training. As you know, what it makes when you go to competition, there are a lot of expectation in terms of what you will achieve, the preparedness, and in the entire process, all this, you'll find that people will have gained vocational training that are at the international level. So these are countries that comes together for the sole reason of promoting vocational training.
Okay.
Yes.
So now the competition. What's the competition?
Now, the competition, as I mentioned earlier on, is at the WorldSkills level. Of course, there are certain things that have been done, including competition rules, constitution, and the rest. So what they do is they identify what we call relevant skills to economies. In fact, there are those which we call standards and international skills. And then there are those skills that are generic to certain economies. So they look at those and then develop occupational standards, and then they give to member states to be able to generate what we call tasks to be performed. And then competition, WorldSkills competition is done every 2 years. The last one was in Russia in 2019. The second one was supposed to have been in China 2021, but because of COVID, it didn't happen. We pushed it to 2022, but still by 2022 there are issues in China. So we had what they call special edition, so various part of the world hosted pockets of this. So between two competitions, then member states are supposed to organize national competitions, and then other countries other than continent, other than Africa, they have what they call continental competitions, like EuroSkills. They have competition. Americas, they call it Americas because it constitutes both North America and South America. Like EuroSkills, they're having their competition next week, and after you do national and continental, you prepare a team that goes to international. So the next international competition will be taking place in Lyon, in France next year, having 63 skills areas to be competed. So as I mentioned, the objective of this is to promote the vocational training. So you have these standards, you design a curriculum based on this, you train these individuals, but the only way you attest whether they have learned what they have been learning is to subject them to a competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's competing here? Is it the students having been through these tertiary courses then that are competing in terms of their skill and knowledge? Or is it the body itself and in terms of what it's able to deliver in terms of learning that is now competing? So it's the students themselves and what they've learned over time?
Yeah, those who are competing are individuals. We call them competitors. So, for example, this year, this is our inaugural national competition. And of course, when you are starting, you don't want to go big. So this year we are looking at 18 skills areas. Right from we have not masonry, but what we call floor and wall tiling. We have bricklaying, which you design something they have to do. And then you monitor how they do this. And then we have water technology. We have air dressing and beauty therapy. We have mechatronics. We have Industry 4.0. Those are new skills that are coming up. We have CNC lathe, what we call computer, numerical control computer lathe happening, and many other electrical installation and so forth, cyber security, IT network coupling, and the rest. So what will happen is we obtain those what we call occupational standards. We have designs, tasks. For every skills area, we have experts. Some of these experts are our trainers, and some experts are coming from industry, who are the gurus in those specific areas. So we design the task. Then institutions select, because we announce that we are carrying competition in these skills areas. Can institution apply to be able to participate? And we had a selection criteria. And also you assess yourself and see, I have been training these people and I think they meet the requirement for competition.
Yeah.
So after this, we bring them into those which are selected. We have now 4 areas that competition will be happening. And the reason we chose 4 areas is because some of the equipment that are required for competition cannot be moved into a central place. So for Industry 4.0 and mechatronics, we are using Dedan Kimathi University of Technology because they already have those equipment. And then for cooking, what we call culinary arts and restaurant service, we are using Boma Hospitality College, which is within the Boma Hotel. They have a wing which is for training. And then for CNC lathe, we are using the Technical University of Kenya. So those are essentially 6 skills. The other 12 skills, we are having them at the Kenya School of TVET, where for every skills, there are 5 competitors. We have chosen 5 competitors. So you can see out of the these 18 skills. Yeah, we've close to 100 competitors who are going to be competing. Then they will be doing it for the next 3 days, starting tomorrow up to Thursday, and every day they are performing a given task. The experts are marking, and then we will compile results on Friday, and this is when we'll be recognizing champions. So we will be crowning national champions in specific skills areas, and some of them will be representing Kenya now next year in France, when we'll be having the international skills competition.
Are they not going to the continental one? After
for
winning
Africa,
Kenya?
as I mentioned, for some reason we are still to establish what we call World Skills Africa. We're actually at an advanced stage, but last year we tried, when the rest of the world were doing special editions. We had the African competition taking place in Namibia. and we presented 4 students or 4 competitors, one in restaurant service, one in cooking. Then there were 2 in skills like mechatronic. They are competed in pairs, so a team constitutes of a pair because there's a machine to be assembled, there's a program to be written. So when one is writing a program, another one is assembling a machine. So we had 4 competitors, but essentially in 3 skills areas, that is cooking, restaurant service, and mechatronics. And incidentally, for cooking, we had a bronze medal. One of our competitors got bronze medal. And for restaurant service, we had gold medal. The 2 students came from Boma International College of Hospitality. And then the one for mechatronics, we were runners-up because there were 4 competitors. They will only give medal to gold and silver. So we were number 3. Actually, winning a medal is an added advantage. More important is the experience that you get, the exposure, and just imagine that I can compete with someone from Ghana, I can compete with someone from South Africa.
I can top the world.
I can top the world.
It's a big thing.
That is the most important thing.
Brings in the issue, though, of equity, Bonatiji.
Yeah.
You have 2,400 TVETs.
Yes.
Now, one would expect that all 2,400 are the same in terms of when you talk about equipping them, when you talk about the infrastructure, the facilities, the quality of trainers in those institutions should be the same.
Yes.
But of course it's not, and we know this, right? So even as you talk about now First World Skills Kenya National Competition, we only expect that the 100 or so will come from specific institutions, and there are some institutions that may not have the opportunity to send their students here, because they do not have that kind of competence that has been taught to them. So what are you doing about that as an authority?
First, we had to start somewhere. And you can see last year, the reason why we chose the Boma was Boma has some relationship with some institution in Switzerland. So they have always been working on competition, and they have been sending their students for international competition. So we had to start somewhere. Also, Deda and Kimathi, working with a number of partners in industry, they have also been organizing internal competition. That is how we picked the first team that went to Namibia. This year, using the experience that we had in Namibia, and how we have been developing our experts, because the critical part of competitions is actually having experts. So when we became the members of World Skills International in 2020, the rule is that you're supposed to be mentored by an existing member. So we were lucky that German accepted to mentor us, and UK. So currently being mentored, so training our experts and the rest. So that he was able to build at least a team that were able to train a number of competitors in an institution. Moving from 4 last year to around 100 is a very big plus. And the lessons that we are learning, again, in this competition in terms of preparedness and so forth, immediately after this competition, probably next month or October, we are going to have what we are calling a closure conference to really look at what went on right, what we missed, what need to be done, then informed subsequent competition. And what we are planning, working together with the Association of Technical Training Institutions in the country, is we are now creating a national calendar for competition, because this competition will be happening every year. As I mentioned, between 2 international competition, you have to do national and international, and continental. So what we will be planning here in the country is we'll probably divide the country into about 6 regions, so that we start with regional competitions in different parts of the country. And then those who will emerge winners in their respective regions, they will now come to national. And then the national champions now will represent the country in the continental and international. And the rule for, unlike other sports, for World Skills International is that you participate once in an international event. Whether you are still a student, so long as you have already gone to the international competition, you do once. The reason is to give others an opportunity
to do it,
to access that.
You see, though, what it's doing is that it's exposing our local TVETs to this international benchmarking.
Yes.
Right? Which is a good thing. But then when we come back, do we actually have this conversation of what we have learned and what we have seen? We have had these partnerships. The Germans have been here. The Germans have said they are offering to support us with the Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology in upgrading it, in giving us the equipment and all. We have had Japanese with JICA supporting several institutions. If you look at what Dedan Kimathi has done, it's because of support from external. It seems like unless support comes from external, we cannot do some things ourselves.
Well, it's not really.
Why don't we have more well-equipped labs, workshops in all our TVETs? Why don't we have better trained trainers in all our TVETs? Why?
Well, I mean, everything is an aspect of resource. But as I mentioned, if you look at the kind of investment that the government has put in the last 10 years precisely, after 2010, around before actually to 2013, that is when we started the addition of 13 institutions. We only had 42 TVET institutions in the entire country. And out of that 42, about 15 or so were the former technical secondary schools, like Kisumu Technical School, Sikalagala, Mawego. You know, when the change of the old system to 844, the technical secondary school became a technical training institution. Then we had the old Institute of Technologies, which was basically built on more or less the community colleges in North America. And they also, in total, they were 42. And you could see that will not be able to take all the youths that we had. And of course, we had a very sharp population growth. That is why then government started building this. So we are talking of the first 60 institution and 70, and then we had another 13. So you can see it was about almost 139 or so institutions that were developed in the last probably about 7 years. And we will be increasing capacities in this institution. The government also equipped this 139 new institutions with state-of-the-art equipment. Then what we realized later on, because our role as an authority is also to look at in terms of audits of what is happening in our institution. So we realized a number of equipment were not in use because of the capacity of our trainers. Then again, working with the government and development partners like African Development Bank, the Kenya School of TVET has been working on the capacity building of our trainers, the program that has taken almost 1 year, including the training them in the new methodologies of training called competent-based, just similar as CBC, but now this is competent-based education and training. So we are already seeing all these things happening. And the fact that we are now able even to get 100 students being subjected to compete in an international event, which is based on international criteria. Because when you are competing, the same way when you are selecting people to compete in Olympics, there are certain standards that the Olympics expect a country to meet or athletes or individual to meet before you qualify for international event. So same case, the criteria we are subjecting these individuals is the same as what is being subjected elsewhere. and therefore it is going to inform the quality of the training that we are going to offer to these individuals.
What happens after the competition? What have you seen has happened after the competition for students who have performed well, gold medals like you're talking about, in terms of career paths, career pathways for the future? And what could it possibly mean for these students who go into these competitions who are obviously performing well? Where have you been able to track and say that as a result, we see that they've been placed in this particular job place, or they've been able to do 1, 2, 3 in terms of an entrepreneur? What does it do for them futurely? And what can you hope it will do for Kenya's graduates from these institutions for jobs for the future? Because it is an issue.
Yeah, what happens essentially, actually, when you go to competition area, there are 3 things that normally happens. There is the actual competition itself. There are TVET conferences where you bring international speakers discussing pertinent issues, policies, industry engagement, and so forth. And there is exhibition. And most of these exhibitions come from industry players. In fact, every competition is basically sponsored by industry players, big players like Google, you have Samsung and the rest. They are major players. So what happened is that most of them are also scouting for most performing individual to be employed. And you find most of them actually end up being picked during competitions. Like, for example, the gentleman who got bronze medal in Namibia, the Kenyan young man, is currently in America. He's been taken by one of the top hotels in America for a 1-year internship, and which eventually is going to land into hospitality, employment. The lady who had won gold medal in restaurant service, by the time we were leaving Namibia, a few hotels in South Africa had already started engaging her. But she had not finished her training. She had to come back home and finish her training. So that kind of exposure actually give these people an opportunity to engage or get employment directly. So we expect even this, we have so many industry players that are going to be exhibiting during our competition, and some of them are going to be looking for people to employ. This is an individual you have already seen is performing. Yeah. What more else do you require other than that?
You know, I'm glad you're talking about the food industry, the hospitality industry.
Yes.
Because I am looking at the informal aspect of the hospitality industry. You're talking about food kiosks.
Yeah.
You're talking about where the majority of people eat. And I'm looking at this expertise being brought to that level. The consideration of providing an opportunity for these people who already have the skills to start these businesses, not maybe as an individual, but as groups. Not everybody can go to Boma, but everybody can go to Akibanda. Everyone, literally.
Yes.
So that when you think of that quality that we're speaking of, that one wins medals, now I'm thinking of it cascading to where the Mwananchi, who eats where he can afford, can actually eat that quality of food.
Yes, precisely. You see, like, as I mentioned, one of the things that skills competition bring is to relook at our training system, whether it's measurable to what is required. And we are going to generally review the entire training curriculum, including the training in vocational training center, so that anyone who is, by extension, anyone who is coming out of our training institution at least has a knowledge that measure to that international requirement, so that even tomorrow I finished in one of our technical training colleges and I go and start my kiosk somewhere, at least the skills that you have in terms of the hygiene, the quality of food, the variety of food that you can offer to attract your customers. So we'll see the quality of things that we are doing at all levels improving.
You know, even if you go beyond food, I know our time is running out, but look at every course that is offered within TVET. Well, I'm supposing that they also offered business skills, business training skills as part of their training, so that they can actually employ this in a business.
Some basic entrepreneurship.
Yes, but I'm thinking of the technical aspects. Just think broadly of what could happen product, what we call the Juakali sector, when you infuse it, we already have it. But think of the international standards seeping into that particular sector and look at how vibrant it would actually make it.
That is where we are heading.
That's where we're heading.
Yes, we're heading. But I like one thing that and what you mentioned. Actually, now in looking at the global standard of vocational training, you have both technical skills and what we call the transferable skills or employability skills. And the calling is technical skills get you hired or employed. Transferable skills or employment skills get you fired. Because you are supposed also to understand the environment at which you are working. So critical thinking, problem solving,
interpersonal
teamwork,
relations.
Interpersonal. And then the other thing what we are doing when we are designing curriculum is to include those things, including environmental and sustainability skills, so that you make sure that you not only learn skills, but you also take care of the environment at which you are working.
Very good.
Thank you.
Dr. Ari, thank you very much for joining us. And we wish you all the best as and in fact the 100 who will be participating in this, we wish them all the best as they compete here, as they go to Lyon, France. We want to see goals coming back to the country.
Yeah, and I'm happy the Standard is covering this event live. We'll be getting also news item throughout the week.
Yes.
Okay, thank you
so
very much.
Follow the conversations in the Standard and KTN. Dr. Kirui Langat, the Director General of the TVET Authority, has been our guest. The first World Skills Kenya National Competition, 8 a.m.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. The nationwide recruitment of servicemen and women by the Kenya Defence Forces kicks off today. The recruitment drive that will end on the 8th of September will comprise of general service officers, cadets, special officers, tradesmen and women, general duty recruits and Defence Forces constables. Prospective candidates must hold a valid Kenyan ID, have no criminal record, have a minimum height of 1.6 meters for men and 1.52 meters for women, and a minimum weight of 54 kgs for men and 50 kgs for women. The candidates will also be required to be between 18 and 26 years of age for GSO cadets and general duty recruits. Candidates for specialist officers and tradesmen and tradeswomen must not be above 30 years of age. The National Assembly Committee on Energy has summoned Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir and Kenya Power CEO Joseph Siror to appear before it on Thursday to address the nationwide power outage that occurred Friday. The Energy Committee, chaired by Mwala MP Vincent Musyoka, wants the pair to issue a comprehensive account of the factors that led to the outage, which affected various areas including the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. This comes amid a statement released by Kenya Power explaining that it had to restore Uganda's interconnected to enhance power recovery efforts around the country. The company said it had to turn to electricity from 7 Fork hydro power stations to kickstart the restoration exercise as they waited on Uganda. Now, Kenya Revenue Authority projects to collect 2.7 billion shillings from cargo input at the Eldoret International Airport this year following resumption of cargo flights. Speaking in Eldoret, Ahago said within the last 3 financial years, KRA managed to collect 6.3 billion shillings in taxes from cargo imports through the Eldoret Airport. KRA's projection comes as cargo flights were relaunched in Eldoret International Airport flights by the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport, Kipchumba Murkomen, and his investments and trade counterpart, Moses Kuria. And a group of eminent persons led by constitutional lawyer PLO Lumumba now said the time has come for the constitution to be re-evaluated by means of the popular initiative. The coalition has put forward 7 areas that require amendment, with the primary focus on aspects related to leadership and integrity, national elections, the legislature's structure and representation. Additional areas encompass the arrangement of the national executive, the framework of devolution, as well as independent commissions and offices. He revealed that the team, consisting of 4 other individuals, intends to initiate and launch a signature campaign drive in the near future. The campaign drive aims to activate the process of amending the 7 designated sections of the Constitution.
Our hand is to come out as we have, to tell Kenyans that we are telling you that there is a time and that there is an opportunity to re-examine the Constitution. The popular initiative requires that you present a bill which will go through the processes prescribed by law. And I can tell you that we have a calendar of events. We will have a date for the launch of signature collection. We'll move around the country and collect signatures.
It is only in order, it is normal that constitutions are relooked into 10 years after. We have been grappling, leaders have been talking about it. The issue has been who's going to bail the cat. And we are here on behalf of Kenyans to give it the oomph that is definitely needed to take us forth.
Kajiado Governor Joseph Ole Lenku will today preside over a Thanksgiving ceremony after President William Ruto issued orders that the management of Amboseli National Park be given to Kajiado County Government. The event will be attended by the leaders from the Maa community. Sunday, thousands of residents gathered to give thanks.
Taomba Mungu nasaidia sisi. Kwa kimila yetu, ni mtoto yetu au mtoto yangu ni ingine na natangaza maneno yote.
Now Kenya finished 5th with 3 gold, 3 silver and 4 bronze as the World Athletics Championships ended in Budapest, Hungary. Mary Moraa handed Kenya the final gold medal in the 800 meters to make it 3 after Faith Kipyegon had won 2 gold medals earlier on. She beat Kaylee Hodgson to a silver medal, with Mu of the United States settling for bronze in the 2-lap race. Moraa posted her personal best of 1 minute 56.03 during the race, with Hodgson being timed at 1 minute 56.34. Mu clocked her season best of 1 minute 56.61 to complete the podium. We say congratulations to Team Kenya for doing a great job. I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Still pretty heavy on the Thika Superhighway. Looks like it's going to be that way for some time. As we're coming past that outer ring junction, a lot of traffic heading into the city. You will use the service lanes and you'll be fine, but then you'll get towards that chokehold that's on the survey area. After that, we don't got much in terms of service lanes, so you're going to have to stick it through. As getting into the CBD, there's also heavy traffic on Kiambu Road. Limuru Road is also pretty busy. Everybody feeding into Limuru Road this morning. United Nations Avenue, Ruaka Road, and we're also looking at Red Hill Link Road, as well as Greater further on Limuru Road, well into the city. That continues this morning and likely to continue for some time. Coming out of Westlands, also pretty busy. Into the CBD, from Jogo Road through towards Landis and out towards Haile Selassie at Kamkunji. That is very, very busy. We're in traffic hour. Let's look at North Airport Road coming in from Cabanas. Not too busy, but we'll have bumper-to-bumper traffic as we get towards Outer Ring at the junction. We'll keep an eye on things this morning and see what it opens up to be later. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
8 minutes after 8, how are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room on Spice FM, on KTN Home, and of course on YouTube and Facebook. Conversations also happen on X. We move on. Now we want to talk about affordable housing and what's happening in the country in this whole matter. So it's the end of the month. Some people have started receiving their pay slips and they're already indicating something. Okay? Housing fund levy, gone. And people are asking, so now, this money, where is it going to? Oh, the conversation about affordable housing. Well, we want to focus this time on a developer who's actually participating in affordable housing. Suleiman Shabal, he's a member of parliament for the East Africa Legislative Assembly and also the chairman of Gulf Cup Real Estate. Mheshimiwa, good morning.
Good morning, Eric. Good to meet you three again. Like I keep saying, you are the three musketeers of morning radio. I'm always happy and challenged to be here.
Karibu sana.
But today I missed CT's morning proverb.
You haven't missed it. It's coming. It always comes right now. CT, what is the day's proverb?
Well, today's proverb, which is the first proverb for the week from the country of South Africa. Today we're in South Africa. And we said, after Somalia, which has the longest shoreline, beach line on the continent. I mean, when you say continent, I'm talking about inland sea. Well, your continent, Madagascar. Apana, those also, but those are islands. It has the longest. But the interesting thing about it is, when you look at the government of South Africa, unlike Kenya, where legislative, Nairobi headquartered, parliament, Nairobi headquartered, executive, Nairobi, they have it differently. The executive is in Pretoria, legislative in Cape Town, judicial, Bloemfontein. So, if you talk about separation of powers, now these guys are even separated geographically. Anyway, the proverb, if you start looking for flies in your food, it means you are full.
If you start looking for flies in your food, it means you are full.
Yes.
Shaba, what do you make of that?
Clearly, you haven't eaten in River Road.
No, it's a long kitambo.
Hata mimi pia ni kitambo, but when you are eating in the River Road, in all those restaurants there, you don't worry about the flies, you eat.
Yes.
And you move on.
But what do you think the South Africans are saying?
I think South Africa, you know, there's something very interesting. The ruler of Dubai back in the early 80s sent his top 15, 20 men to Singapore. Go and study Singapore. Go and see how these guys live, how they work, how they play, and then come and duplicate this. And they duplicated the economic miracle that is Dubai today. I think we as Africans should send our young people to South Africa and find out where they went wrong. And God help us if we repeat this again. Okay. For your information, the most critical city in South Africa is Johannesburg. It is the center of literally everything.
It is their largest city.
It is their largest city, yes. Commercial.
Yes.
The mayor of Johannesburg didn't even finish Form 4. Are you surprised they have problems? Seriously, I mean, you know, this guy is the chief executive of the city of Johannesburg.
Yep.
He's expected to
with
understand
the greatest GDP.
With the greatest GDP, he's expected to understand critical issues and pass critical decisions or guide critical decision making. And you bring a guy who has no clue what he's reading. And now we in Kenya have just passed a law, or we're trying to pass a law, I don't know where the status is, that governors don't even need to have degrees. Come on, man, let's get serious. If that is the case, why do we need to send our people to university to go and study medicine or engineering or all those things? They're completely unnecessary. Challenge for the day.
Okay. Started on a high note.
You know how it is when you start a race on your marks, get set, go.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa has just gone to go.
Yeah.
He's not waiting.
Get set on your marks,
forget it.
Go.
But I'll give you an Ethiopian proverb also, because lately I've been having a lot of problems all over the place. It says the elephant does not limp when he's walking on thorns. That's an Ethiopian proverb.
We've had that proverb here.
I see.
And we agree with you.
Good. Great minds think alike.
Put up here.
And fools never differ also.
No, they say fools seldom differ. Yes.
So Shambal, you're walking on thorns?
All the time.
Why? It's the nature of life.
It's the nature of challenges. If you set out to do great things, or you set yourself on a long journey or on an important mission, it may be important to you but not important to others. Expect problems. And I keep telling people, if you are walking on the road to Canaan and you come across a big rock on the road, you have only 3 options. Roll over it, get down, remove it, or find another path. But it should not be a stumbling block.
Keep moving.
Keep moving.
You must.
Yeah.
You are, if not the biggest, one of the biggest developers when it comes to the affordable housing projects. You started off, and we had a conversation here about it in the Buxton point, just before you rolled out. I saw some updates last week that the project has actually progressed quite a bit. And then we saw the president launching the Ziwani project, and it was also to be taken up by your company, Gulf Cup. So let's start with Buxton. Is it complete?
Phase 1 is complete. 584 apartments are ready. And even before we've moved in, we have won architectural awards and we've won environmental awards. And I believe that we are setting extremely high standards for affordable housing. Had we not had so much political interference in this project, we would probably have rolled it out a lot earlier than we are ready to do now. And the only thing holding us back is infrastructure. The sewage treatment plant that we were expecting the government to do could not be done, so we did it ourselves. It's like I said, we don't allow...
find a way.
We'll find a way.
Around the rock.
Yes, and we have found a way.
So phase 1, 584 apartments.
Yes.
And you say these are affordable?
Yes.
Is there any of them that is part of the social housing?
You see, there's a big difference between social housing and affordable housing.
Yes.
The social housing are the slum replacements. Okay. And those are extremely tiny apartments. And the economics of that are completely different. This is targeted at the affordable housing sector. And all of them fall under that category. Yeah.
What is affordable?
That's actually the biggest question. And let us be honest about this, that what is affordable cannot be affordable to everybody. And what is even more important when you talk about affordable, it's not the selling price of the house, but how much you have to pay for it on a monthly basis. Okay. So whether you're buying a 3 million shilling house or 2 million shilling house, that price already is very low. But the question is, can the buyer afford to pay a 30,000 shilling mortgage? Many buyers cannot afford that. We know that. We know that that is a big challenge. That's a financial challenge. Now, when you look at the affordable housing program, there are 2 components to it. There is finding a way in which we can build houses which are cheap in comparison to the market. That we have done, and this is where government has come in a big way and given, concessional land and given VAT refunds and VAT exemptions and a lot of the other things that government is doing. But the second challenge is, how do we reduce the mortgage payment that the mwananchi has to pay? With interest rates at 18% today, that's a challenge. So we're looking at how we can find a way to reduce that 30,000 shilling mortgage to 15,000 shilling mortgage. And if we can bring that mortgage to 15,000, for many of the people today who are listening to this radio, who are driving driving to work or riding on the matatu, many of them are already paying 15,000 shillings a month. That's our second challenge. Now, with the housing fund coming into play, I think we will achieve that very soon. But Kenyans have to be a little patient. This affordable housing thing is such an ambitious program. It will change Kenya, but it will not happen overnight. So let us be a little patient on how we implement this, how we work towards this. And I'm very glad that the State Department of Housing has entered into a consultative discussion with everybody, with the end users, with the developers, with the banks. So we're all working together towards a common goal. And believe me, Eric, this housing thing will change lives in Kenya.
I can imagine that it would, Mheshimiwa. And I think that, unfortunately, we're looking at housing and affordable housing in a silo. And we can't do that. And
how are we looking at it in a silo?
Because if we're going to say that affordable means that in a month you will then be able to spend this much to put aside towards housing while the rest of your needs do not suffer, then everything else that contributes towards those needs has to work in congruence. And we're saying that today, that there's a huge burden when it comes to the cost of living. We're saying that there's a huge burden in so many other things: access to market, roads, the cost of transport, the cost of fuel. If all of those things are not working together to make sure that there's more to go around, then it becomes increasingly difficult to say, I'm going to be able to set this much aside for housing. And so I'm saying that housing cannot work on its own without all of these other aspects coming into play as well.
CT, yes, as President Ruto would say, Kizungu mingi. I'm trying to understand exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
But let me guess.
Can I unpack it for you?
Yes. That's a good way. Unpack it for me. I honestly didn't understand what...
Let me. So here we are, and I'm saying, you have housing. And we're saying it's a fantastic plan.
Okay.
Great. It is. But there's 15 other things that an individual who's living in Nairobi, in this area where we're saying it's going to be affordable for them, that they have in terms of responsibility. If they have to spend so much on transport, there's clearly something within the transport sector that needs to be fixed. If they have to keep something aside because maybe there will be a problem with health and it is expensive for them to attend to, that also needs to be sorted out. If they have to make sure that education also has to be taken care of for their children and they have to keep something aside, that also needs to be sorted out. We can talk about affordable housing, but that also has to be looked at in the context of everything else that this individual has to do. And I'm saying that all of these things have to work together. In order for it to be affordable, the rest of these things also have to be taken into consideration. And how can that happen is my question.
It's true. You're absolutely right. But, if you aspire for anything big as a nation, we need to make sacrifices. And I honestly don't believe that 1.5% is significantly going to impact your education, your food, your transport, and all that. I think we've politicized an economic issue, and we need to come to terms that if we want to be a Singapore, we need to pay some. We need to make some sacrifices. There's no shortcut to that. Come on, guys. We want to build, a housing sector for the whole country. We want to be in a position where 10 years from today, every young person who gets a job aspires to own a house, and we don't want to make some sacrifices. Sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves. You want to buy a house, but you don't want to save. How?
One has to follow the other.
One has to follow the other, and frankly, I don't agree that that paying or putting aside 1.5% of your income is going to affect your transport or your housing, your education or all that. It's a sacrifice we have to make, unfortunately.
But for those things to work, I think this is where the argument comes in.
As we are looking at lowering the cost of housing, just look at what the government, for example, has done. What is it that are the big ticket items when it comes to developing houses? Land is a big issue. Cost of inputs is a big issue. Taxes are a big issue. So government comes in and says, all right, so let's waive the land cost by providing land. Let's waive some of these taxes by removing VAT. Let's look at how we can accommodate cheaper and better building materials and building technology. So we work on that. You see, that is trying to bring the cost per unit of a house.
Yes.
While at the same time, just like you've said, you've finished 584 apartments in phase 1 of Buxton Point. But the intended beneficiaries may not be able to actually take up these houses because of these other things. How much you're selling the houses for and how much their income is. There's a disparity. So the government has to look at these things holistically. As we're looking at housing on one end, are we looking at what other items are there in somebody's monthly budget? The cost of buying food, the cost of transportation, the cost of education for their children, the cost of healthcare. If those are not being ticked at the same time, then this housing one will become a burden instead of it becoming something that now makes it easier for somebody to live. I think that's a question here. Do you feel, because you're also a leader, a legislator, do you feel that these conversations are happening at the same time?
I don't think we can solve the problems of the world simultaneously. Okay. There have been serious efforts made at addressing, for example, the health problems that we have with the NHIF, which is a positive step in the right direction. And I can see it on the ground. Okay, I'm not talking at a high level. I'm seeing it on the ground, that families which have NHIF are better off. I'm seeing strides in education, okay, that we've made in a big way as a country. But this is not, it is not an either or. Human beings in general do not like to save. They like instant gratification. You and me, all of us. I mean, I've known all along that my daughters are going to university very soon. And I should have started an education plan for them long ago.
Yeah.
I'm worrying about it now.
When they're about to go to university.
When they're about to go to university. Okay. So all I'm saying is that we need to be a bit patient and to look at the bigger picture. Because this housing thing is not, don't just look on the people who are going to be buying the houses. Look at the multiplier effect. The number of people who have been employed in these housing projects, the number of contractors, the number of suppliers. This housing thing is going to re-energize our economy.
Why don't you actually give us that practically? Look at the project that you've just completed,
Yes.
phase 1, and you're going into phase 2, right?
Yes.
How much impact has it had in Kisauni and Buxton?
Okay, over the last 2 years, almost 3,000 people have been employed there. Okay, let's start there.
This is daily employment.
This is on and off.
Earning a daily wage?
Yes, earning a daily wage. Okay. We are going to have close to 100 people permanently employed in Buxton as security, as maintenance, as workers, as all that. Okay. In terms of companies that supplied the Buxton project, there were at least 55 different companies supplying different things. Now, a few minutes before I came in, you had people from TVET here.
Yeah.
Where are all those young people going to work? We're training them to be carpenters and masons and all that. You need projects like this to make the lives of those people who are studying meaningful. If you look at the land itself, look at Buxton. Buxton before had 540 residents. Today, phase 1, 584 already. So we've already surpassed the number of beneficiaries that Buxton had before. By the time we finish, it will be 4 times the number who were living there. Now look at the number of jobs being created there. So I'm a firm believer that this thing is... and by the way, I'm not saying this because I'm a developer. This is a project that I talked about in 2013 when I ran for governor the first time. It was in my contract with the people of Mombasa. We need to build affordable houses.
You know, the conversation about affordable housing is incomplete. Mheshimiwa has talked about us, let's be honest. So I'm going to take it a notch for let's be blunt. There's urban renewal, as they say, what some people refer to as slum replacement. Okay? The government took upon itself in a time gone by the role of building such houses through the National Housing Corporation. And if you look at the houses, the places they were built in, they were low rent. They were meant to cater for this. World Bank, in their wisdom and the way they go about their business, they did away with this a long time ago. Now, the problem comes here. All these old estates are not city dwellings. They are urban homes and established ancestral homes for very many people. When I mean ancestral is that even with Mheshimiwa, he'll tell you Buxton, you'll find 4th generation people living in Buxton. Now, the other problem is that with councils and then counties, the rents that they charged at best and as politely as possible could be called subsidized. They were nowhere near the market rates, nowhere. So people who lived there would expect to be paying the same rate, and yet realistically it is not possible. Simply because if a new building is put up at the costs and at the requirements that we currently have, it is not possible for someone to pay what they were paying. The only way they can is if the government, and this is government, it isn't the developer, can come up with a method of subsidizing this entire process or bring in some interesting mixed development that caters for those who would pay these low rents, and it still can't be at the rate they were paying it, and those who are willing to pay a lot more. Now, this caters for that balance so that even the developer also ends up making a profit, because the developer is not developing. This is not for public good. This is for profit.
It's not philanthropy.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
But City, the developer has been given land for free. Developer is not paying for the land.
Yes.
Developer is not paying VAT.
Yes.
Developer is not paying. Some of these costs have been waived.
Actually, there is a balance there. The developer also gives away some of those houses to the county. The county owned the houses previously owned by the council.
Yes.
So they are earnings that they expect. The developer agrees with the county. There's equity here.
Yes.
And the truth of the matter is that it ends up being more. If you look at the value proposition even for the county, the moment you have those numbers increased, everything that the county benefited from the housing goes up.
So what I'm asking is City, for example, and Shabal, you can even answer this.
Yes.
The original 530 residents of Buxton and how much they were paying as rent, are they going to be able to pay the same if they got into these new houses? And if not, why not?
The original residents of Buxton were paying between 2,800 to 3,500 shillings.
A month?
A month.
For what size of a house?
Tiny. Okay.
They were tiny 2-bedroom houses, really.
Tiny 2-bedroom houses. And because they were paying such low rents, the county could not be bothered to maintain those places. They literally became slums. There were, sewage all over the place. There was no proper services, nothing. Okay. Now, there are two options here. Option number one is to do what we call social housing or the slum replacement. If we were to do social housing in Mombasa, then a lot of the people who are paying that sort of numbers can afford to go and continue paying that sort of number. But they wouldn't be satisfied with that. They would want proper, bigger houses, which is what Buxton is today. 30 square meters to 55 to 75 for 3 bedrooms. The issue here is everybody has to find their right economic sweet spot. What is affordable? There are people who live in Buruburu, there are people who live in Kilimani, and there are people who live in Muthaiga. So everybody will gravitate to where they can afford. And the social housing meets somewhere in between. It's not Muthaiga, neither is it at the lower end of the market, but it is somewhere towards the lower end of the market. Now, we as a country have to move into a situation or a place where at least 500,000 families can find a home for themselves. And it has worked in many parts of the world. It will not happen overnight. I'm repeating again, it will not happen overnight. But over the next 10 years, a lot of the problems that we're talking about, the affordability factor, if we can bring down that mortgage from 30,000 to 15,000 and below, there will be hundreds of thousands of families that will be lining up and will be able to afford this. Already in the Bomayangu platform, there are 330,000 applicants. 330,000 applicants. And remember that a lot of people have not applied because they feel they have no chance of getting.
They're all hopeful.
They're all hopeful. Yep. So the desire and the demand is there. And I'm repeating again, as Kenyans, we have to be patient. This thing is not going to happen overnight. The challenges that we are facing are real challenges that have to be addressed step by step. But we will get there.
Let's take a break. We'll continue shortly. 26 minutes to 9. Suleiman Shabal is the member of the East African Legislative Assembly. He's also the chairman of Gulf Cup Real Estate, the company that's developing houses in Buxton, in Mombasa, and also has affordable housing project in Ziwani, in Nairobi. In Starehe constituency. Sio? Haya, mambo kama hayo. Continue shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives a real situation in the Situation Room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nduthai, nice meeting you. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again.
Character is like pregnancy, you cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2, 3 months, 5 months, now you will see. So that is why the attitude that you are showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
We'll be at 16, highs of 25 and lows of 13. We'll see lows of 13 as well in a sunny Nakuru at 17, going to highs of 27. It's 17 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 24 and lows of 13. 16 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 25 and lows of 11. It's sunny at 24 in Mombasa, highs of 30 and lows of 23, and we'll see lows of 24 in a sunny Malindi at 26, going to highs of 29. 24 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 30 and lows of 18, and we'll see sunny conditions at 20 in Kakamega, highs of 29 and lows of 15. Partly sunny at 22 in Kampala, highs of 28 and lows of 18, and we'll see highs of 29 in a cloudy Dar es Salaam at 25, coming down to lows of 23. At 7 degrees, Johannesburg is sunny at 7, highs of 21 and lows of 5. Mostly cloudy at 24 in Lagos, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 30 in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 24.
Spice up your life.
All right, on the Thika Superhighway, it seems to be getting easier to go through. A little bit of traffic just past Survey out towards the city centre, just at Pangani at the underpass. And we'll see some of it coming in from Kiambu Road. It's getting busier as you get in from Kitisuru and Limuru Road. All of that is starting to pick up. Uhuru Highway is busy as you come from the Nyayo Stadium roundabout through towards the junction at Haile Selassie. Traffic still continues heavy on Landis Road and then out towards Kamkunji at the roundabout. We're looking at North Airport Road. That was packing up earlier, but seems to be opening up as you get towards the Outer Ring Junction or through towards the Eastern Bypass. Keep an eye on things. Let us know what's going on where you are. Spice FM KE on X.
Chilled Spice. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Alrighty, 22 minutes to 9.
Mornings.
The Honorable Suleiman Shabal on the issue of affordable housing. You're urging patience. You're saying this will take time for us to start realizing the dividend of this entire program. How long?
A little bit of correction. We are already seeing the dividends of this program going on now. But before we went on the break, you asked me a question. What about the Buxton residents? You know, phase 1, out of the 540 former residents, 60 came in and bought. I am confident that by the time we finish phase 2, a lot more will have come in, because by then we will have come up with a financing mechanism for them. I don't want to talk about it today, but this is something that we are all working on very aggressively within our organization and with financial institutions. But like I said, first we have to prove that this thing is doable. Now, all those people who are talking about a lot of negativity about Buxton, today they're seeing what has come up there, and they're seeing, when I talked about a lifestyle, that we can have affordable housing that is actually very nice. Okay? It's not just a bunch of boxes. Now they're seeing what we're talking about. So the reality is beginning to dawn on them. And I am confident that with the new housing fund and with the new energy that we are seeing from the State Department for Housing, that we will also come up with the financial solutions that will enable more Buxton residents to buy in these estates. That is where we're heading. Yeah.
Must they own the houses?
And why not?
Must they?
Why not?
Can
because
they
you
opt
see,
not to?
No, they.
You see, they didn't own the previous houses.
Yes.
Must they own this new one?
Then, if they're becoming renters, then what's the difference? I want to see families own their own homes. You see, Eric, I keep saying 1,000,000 times, there is no greater security you can leave your family than a roof over their head. If you own a house today, even if you have a 30-year mortgage, the day you drop dead, okay, you got hit by the bus, you got a heart attack, whatever the story may be, you died. Insurance immediately pays off your mortgage. You've left your family with a roof over their head. Even if they eat ugali and sukuma wiki every day, but they're in the safety of their own home. There is nothing you can leave your family more than a roof over their head. That's where Kenyans should be heading to.
Sure. Innocent asked a question. I think I'm going to use it to form the basis of part 2 of my question. And he says, let's imagine you have a worker, because let's get down to the nitty-gritty. We can talk about things and put them in the sky, but down to the nitty-gritty is what makes a difference here. A worker is earning 40,000 shillings per month, all right? A worker has a family, he's got children. These children have needs, obviously. How will they get just using Buxton as an example, and you can replicate that for around the country, how will they be able to afford to own these units that go for 2.9 million shillings, for example, if we can break it down to the shillings and cents for it to make sense?
That's a good question. Let's just do a quick mortgage calculation here. If you'll allow me, it will take me 1 minute. Okay, we're talking about 2.9 million, correct?
Yes.
Let's round it off to 3 million.
Okay.
At an interest rate of 9%, which is what, and we say 25 years. Okay, calculate. That gives you a mortgage payment of 25,000 shillings a month.
Per month.
Yeah.
Okay. The average amount that a family should spend, this is a global benchmark, is 30%
of their income.
So 40 multiplied by 30% is 12,000 shillings.
Yes.
So this is double what they should be paying.
Yes.
But that's what I kept saying, that we are working on a financial solution to bring this down from 25 to the 15,000 shilling mark that I'm looking for. And I can assure you, we're going to do it very soon.
But actually,
but
even
the
this
starting point,
calculation,
Eric, wait.
The calculation was with 9%, was it not?
Yes, that's what KMRC is offering today.
This is just on the KMRC side.
Yes.
The rest of the market is way above 13%.
Correct. But that's where government comes into play. KMRC is a government initiative.
Right.
Okay. The housing fund is what is going to help lower this even more. Okay. What I'm saying is, let's start first at the 2.9 million. Where in Kenya today can you get a house for 2.9 million in a nice environment, other than in the affordable housing programs? Where?
The fact
So
that
that's already a success indicator.
I think
that we have managed to bring down a house to 2.9 million shillings.
I think the uncomfortable conversation that we don't want to address is the fact that even if you have a house that's 2.9 million shillings compared to the rest of the what would be clearly expensive market, we don't want to address the fact that the majority of Kenyans today still cannot afford that 2.9 million shilling house. And I think that's the uncomfortable conversation that we need to be having. That even though, yes, fantastic, we've been able to get housing in different parts of the country that cost 2.9.3 million shillings, the uncomfortable part is that still the majority of Kenyans cannot afford to pay for that. And which brings me back to my original question, which I will ask if that's the only question I ask today, that isn't it supposed to be that we are looking at how all of these other things can work together in a cycle to make sure that you're making life across board more affordable, so that yes, when 2.9 million shillings comes knocking in terms of a mortgage, that I can still save towards that. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary to be had.
But doesn't that just point to the reality again, as you say? When you talk about what you've just said, you're talking about cost of living. If the cost of living was lower, what it then means that many things would be affordable.
Many more things would be affordable.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying, that all of these things have to work together.
And also, if you're looking at the building industry, yes, the government may come in and subsidize it by way of rebating this, removing this, lowering this and the other. And by virtue of just the numbers that are being built, it is hoped the economies of scale would come in. And so you'd be able to lower the cost. But it doesn't quite happen that way. Not quite.
It doesn't happen that way.
No, because the cost, all these things require money. Buying that money to get these things, unfortunately, is not cheap. So how do you twist around that one? Because we've had this discussion. It comes down to money. Where you're going to get the money, it's expensive. So what are you going to do?
I think when you start by saying the uncomfortable subject, there's nothing uncomfortable about it.
Oh, not for us, because the people who are living on this other side
No.
Let's not. Those who are in a position
when we talk
to make
about
the
it,
environment conducive may not want to have that uncomfortable conversation.
No, it's not. It's not an uncomfortable conversation, because the minute you start saying uncomfortable, it's as if we're running away from it. No, we are addressing it. And I've said again, the housing side, there are two components to it: the supply and the demand. The supply is, how do we bring down houses to a level which is cheaper than market? 2.9 million is definitely cheaper than market. That's number one. We've achieved that, or we're getting there through lower cost of land, the government subsidies. That we've achieved. The second component, which we have not achieved, is how do we bring that mortgage rates down from the 25,000, the 30,000, down to the 10 to 15,000 range. And what I'm saying is, just like it took a bit of time for us to prove that we can deliver houses at 2.9, it will take a little bit of time for us to find the mechanism to bring that mortgage payment down. There's nothing uncomfortable about it. That's the reality of the challenge that we face. And we're not running away from it. I'm certainly not running away from it.
That's the point, Suleiman. You are not running away from it. Because if we are talking about the houses that people dream, and the house, you see, there's incongruence here. You want a house that cannot realistically be built at the cost you want. The house that can be built at the cost that somebody wants will not be what you want. It will be something of a much lower standard. Now, this in my mind, would form the uncomfortable position. And this is where communicating and getting people to understand these realities are. That given the money that you can afford, the sort of housing you will get is this.
Yep.
So you know from the get-go. So it's not as though I have 3 million shillings and I'm going to live in Nyeri. You are not going to be able to live in Nyeri. It's not complicated. You're not even going to be able to live in Maweni. It's not... that's in Mombasa. All I'm saying is, with these conversations, there is the need to tell the would-be occupants, the would-be buyers, this reality, that in Buxton, given where Buxton is situated, you will not be able to afford it. On the other hand, if you go to Magongo, where similar houses are going to be built, and the majority of houses will be of that nature, you may be able to. But then the moment you say that, you'll say, ubaguzi. Why is it that it isn't ubaguzi? It's reality. It's what you can afford. You see, this issue of what you can afford is not a conversation people want to have. Everyone wants to feel they can afford everything. You can't. No one can. It's a question of what is going to fit your pocket. Now, make it fit that pocket, but then the government has to come in.
And that's why I was asking that question. Must we look at these houses? So, yes, developer puts up the houses, right? Must those houses be off-taken by individuals? Can they not be off-taken by, county governments, by national housing? And then we pay rent. Yes, of course, you'll say that the best thing that I'd want to leave my family is a decent house. Yes. But you see, the point is right now I can't afford it. How can we work together? How can we work together in such a way that this 2.9 million shilling Buxton house, I can pay it, but then the government has already waived the 900,000. I'm looking for 2 million or something like that over time.
But then the government will have to pay the developer. Because
when you talk about government, who is government? It's taxpayers. It's me and you.
That's why we're doing the 1.5. You see, the government is owning all these things. Just like if the government were to, the example that you gave earlier, these estates that we're talking about that were built in Eastlands were owned
all
by
over the country,
municipals, right? The municipals owned the homes.
Yes.
They had the asset. Mombasa still will have the asset of Buxton. But a part of it, you're having people paying rent in a way. And then the other part, people who can afford buy. So you're catering for both sides of the equation. Instead of just looking at now, Suleiman Shabal now sitting there with stock and is trying to sell them at 2.9 million shillings. And there's only a limited number of people who can afford 2.9 million shillings, and maybe they don't want to live in Buxton, or they don't want to own a house in Buxton.
You know, the conversation about this being a work in progress, it is. Because before this affordable housing conversation began, there was urban renewal. You know, the agreements and my friend, it's a very complicated, tedious affair to get to the point where you're working out even these figures and agreeing on who takes what, who gets what, who is given what. But the affordable housing conversation, and here, Suleiman is right, it shows the progress that has been made.
Yep.
Meaning, we've moved and said, okay, government, this thing that you want to do, you have to come in. And you have to pay. It's not a question of just coming in. Land is good, but you have to go a little beyond land. You've got to do something else for this thing to be able to be afforded by the people you want. And everybody agrees you have to. Now, the alternative is the government decides that anyone who is in the affordable housing business does not pay any form of tax whatsoever for anything that they need in their building. That will drastically bring down the cost of these things. And anything else that the government gains from this, they say, you do not have to pay. Even work out special rates in banks. Now, do you think that's going to happen?
My dream is very clear, Eric.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to deviate from this. It is my ambition that as many Kenyans as possible must own their houses. I want these young guys who are now in their cars or in their matatus driving to work to own, even if it is a bed sitter, let them pay 6,000 shillings a month mortgage payment. They own it. Okay, 5 years from today, they are earning a lot more. They sell that bed sitter, buy a 1-bedroom. Okay, 4 years later, they get married, they buy a 2-bedroom. That's going to be the Kenyan dream, and we're going to make it happen. And no thorns on the way is going to stop us from achieving that goal. Okay, let's just be real. There's a price to pay for everything, and we have to work together as a country to find solutions, not to try and make this whole thing fail. This is the best thing that's ever happened in Southeast Asia. This is what has changed the lives of people in Singapore, in Malaysia, in China, in India. That's what they call the American dream, that every family must own their own home and eventually build equity. So by the time you reach your 50s or your 60s, you sell that house and you go back to shags with some money to retire. I think I was here on that program, on the same program, when somebody said that he came to Buruburu when he was 25 and he left Buruburu when he was 60, going back to shags after paying rent for 40 years. That's not going to happen if we can avoid it. So I keep repeating again, this is the best thing that Kenya can do. It's not going to be easy. We are going to have challenges. We've already shown that we can build good, affordable housing in a first-class environment. Come to Buxton. I'm inviting you to come to Buxton and see the lifestyle that we're giving and tell me where in today's Africa can you get a house for 2.9 million in such an environment. So we've shown that it is doable.
So, Suleiman, I thought you were going to tell us, come to Buxton and buy a house.
Come and buy a house.
Why are you telling us to just come and see the house?
We're on him to Nairobi, buy a house in Starehe. Okay. And by the way, we're not sitting on any stock, Eric. The demand far exceeds the supply. That's actually the biggest problem. Buxton was sold out within 2 weeks. Okay.
This 584.
584 within
gone.
2 weeks, gone. The demand in Starehe is more than we can meet. So people are walking the talk.
Yeah, but what people are buying these houses? You see, they're not the people
good
for
question.
whom...
No. I know where you're heading.
Yes.
The people who are buying these houses, one house, one ID, one house.
Through Bomayangu.
Through Bomayangu is being implemented now. Okay. But, there are people who come and say, oh, it is the rich people who came and bought. No, it is not the rich people who came and bought. If we had more time, I would have given you the statistics. You'd be amazed.
I personally have no problem with more than one person, someone buying more than one house.
No, I have a problem because my dream is to make sure that as many families as possible own homes. I do not want an estate where one guy owns 50 apartments and he's collecting rent. No. The idea is to have, people owning their own homes. They are paying for it slowly and building wealth for themselves over time.
So we have 584 apartments that have been sold to 584 homeowners.
Correct.
And are they residents? Are they intending to live here?
I would say 90% of them are coming to live there. Yeah.
The housing fund. All right, so now the deductions are taking place. And the whole conversation has been from the State Department of Housing. Once we get this pool of money, we'll be able now to help roll out, finance developers and offtake from the developers. Do you see this working seamlessly?
Yes, I see it working. And, by the way, we set up an association of affordable housing developers. And unfortunately, they elected me chairman. Unfortunately, maybe because I'm a big mouth, And what we're going to and I'm a member of this task force to see how we can effectively and fairly allocate the use of these funds. And it's going to go through a public participation process. And the idea is very clear that how do we make this as transparent as possible, how do we make this as fair as possible, and how do we make this the most economically beneficial fund that we have in the country. I think it's a step in the right direction.
Suleiman, you're a man of faith. I can see that.
Yes, I am.
And you're a man of vision. I can also see that, because to have a vision, you actually must have faith. The two tend to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You envision and you now believe, then you see how you can make this work. The conversation that I feel is not had adequately is what we normally call public participation. How it is we inform, brief, not once, over a period of time, all these individuals who live in these estates to the point where they actually understand exactly what's happening. And the reality Ndu was referring to understand with what you believe you ought to be paying, if it's 1,700 or this is what it'll get you, not this. Okay? Now, that conversation, enough of it hasn't been had, because the idea that people have is because the reason why they keep repeating is because mentally they haven't moved from it. There's this, it's akin to magic thinking, where you think, I'll pay 2,500 and I live in a 3-bedroom house.
As we conclude, respond to very many questions on social media. Why must I own a home in towns when I can build a bigger house in Shags for 2.9 million shillings?
Because unfortunately, you'll spend the next 40 years of your life in town. So that house in Shags is going to be good for your relatives, not good for you. So you may as well build your own equity here and build your own home here. And for heaven's sake, you owe your kids a decent place to live in. So stop talking about fantasies and live in reality. Next question. No, but it's true. It's true, isn't it? Okay.
Starehe, how many units in Starehe?
Starehe will be approximately 6,500 units.
That's
out of which at least 2,000 are going to be social housing units.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the presidential directions.
There's no minutes.
There's no minutes.
No.
It's a pity, because I really wanted him to explain the social housing.
What is social housing?
Yes.
Next time, come we talk about social housing.
Will do.
Sulaiman Shabal, thank you very much for joining us. Na wewe mwanasiasa, tujazungumza siasa, you'll tell us about the IALA. When last you were here, you were campaigning to be elected by Kenya's parliament to represent us at IALA. Would like to know, what have you been doing out there in Arusha? In fact, when are you in Arusha if you're building houses in Nairobi? That's a conversation. Sulaiman Shabal, Member of Parliament at the East Africa Legislative Assembly and Chairman of Gulf Cup Real Estate, he's been our guest this morning talking about affordable housing. Keep it here for more conversations. Good morning, it's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Top of the hour on Vibes Radio. The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is Zizo. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto is expected to inaugurate Chepkurur Technical College in Mount Elgon, Bungoma County, after which he will hold a meeting with local leaders in Kapsokony before addressing the residents. At noon, the president will visit the Nabingenge Naitiri Bungoma Technical College before launching the construction of the Sangalo Kandui commercial area. Later in the evening, the president will visit the Nzoia Sugar Factory, where he will hold a meeting with stakeholders in the sugar industry. Yesterday, the head of state promised to write off the sugar 117 billion shillings debt of the companies.
Tutafanya mpango kama serikali tuondoe madeni ya sugar companies yetu 5 ya serikali ni bilioni 117, 117 billion. Tumepitisha katika baraza la mawaziri ya kwamba hiyo madeni yote ifutiliwe mbali.
The Acting Director General of Immigration Services, Evelyn Chelugut, has said that the department has introduced a raft of new measures to improve the processing of Kenyan passports. Addressing immigration officers at Nyayo House today, Chelugut expressed optimism that the changes will bolster the processing and issuance of travel documents and effectively address the long-standing delays that have sparked agitation from the public. Chelugut said at the beginning this week, staff members will be increased and some officers will be deployed abroad. Counters will also be set aside for emergency cases. Day and night shifts will be introduced from Monday to Sunday, and applications will now be received from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Other remedies include acquiring new booklets, repairing and purchasing new machines that will allow for 24 hours passport printing. The non-governmental organization Forum for African Women Educationalists, FAO, has started a campaign to involve boys and men in a campaign against early pregnancy among girls in Homa Bay and Migori counties. This is because men and boys are participants in the problem. Homa Bay Women Representative Joyce Osogo for Chief Executive Officer Teresa Otieno, Migori Deputy Governor's wife Evelyn Mahiri, and Suba Deputy Commissioner Sebastian Okiring launched the program in Homa Bay County.
We are launching the Care About Her program, aiming at eradicating teenage pregnancy and child marriage in Homa Bay County and Migori County. 3 days conference of men and boys were majorly to equip them with information on how to campaign and eradicate issues that are preventing girls from realizing their education potential. So as far with our focus on girl child education and women empowerment, we thought it wise to involve the men and boys to support us in eradicating the issues that are keeping our girls away from.
Okoh has challenged teachers and parents to protect the girl child.
Teachers in the secondary schools, the teachers in the primary schools, let us advocate that our position in the society are mentors, and we are telling the parents back at home, ensure that your child is properly dressed in a manner that does not tempt or lure the teacher into activities that are acts of not enhancing learning process.
Mahiri said Migori County will support the fight against early pregnancies and unplanned marriages.
An innovative strategy that is going to bring the solution home. Power Kenya has been partnering with the county government of Migori through the office of the First Lady. Migori County has been the hardly hit because of the social culture of the beliefs that lead to FGM together with early marriages among the girls.
35 students from various high schools along with 5 other people survived death after a boat they were travelling in hit a rock near the Lamu port area. The Kenya Red Cross officer Lamu Abdul Hakim Abdu said the students had come from the villages in Ndau Island, Kiwayu Island and Makoni Island. They were returning to school on board the MV Uvuvi 1 boat. The boat is reported to have hit a rock on the Indian Ocean, after which it breaks. The passengers were stranded for 3 hours before the Red Cross officers arrived at the area and rescued all the 40 people alive. Kisumu police have arrested one suspect in connection with a phone theft syndicate in the city. Jennifer Emal was arrested at a residential house in Obunga area where a laptop and 49 mobile phones were recovered. Kisumu Central OCPD Peter Mulai confirmed the incident, saying the woman was arrested after a public tip. The arrest comes 1 month after the Kisumu County Commissioner launched a security operation to flush out criminal gangs that have been wreaking havoc in the lakeside city. The suspect will be arraigned in court today. This is News. I'm Dennis Alcedo. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, a little bit of traffic this morning. Coming out rather into the middle of traffic hour at a few minutes after 9 o'clock. A little bit of movement on the Thika Superhighway. We're looking at it then. Heavy right at the Pangani underpass, heading into the CBD. There's also traffic coming onto Limuru Road this morning, getting into the CBD. Keeping an eye on things and see how this opens up closer to the end of traffic hour. Spice FM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room. The
biggest conversation, getting into the final hour of The Situation Room this Monday, 28th day of August. Just like that, Wednesday, 30th, Thursday, 31st, Friday, once.
You're liking this ST?
Imagine.
Oh, okay.
And then the month is...
It's done.
Done. Like that.
like that. New Year resolutions.
Start them now. The ones for last year, actually, we're still in the year. The ones for this year, how many of them have you completed, Monami?
Let's start with how many people actually completed making the New Year resolutions. Okay.
Good question.
Then from there, we can now move to the next thing. Umze ameenda wapi?
Kusalimia Raila.
Ameenda huko nje. Na ameenda na Proverb. Surely.
Salala.
Do. Watu wa Mombasa bana.
Watu wa Mombasa.
We mzee. Kaa chini bana.
Mko wazima lakini. Yani in my absence. No, wajua.
Bana.
Hamjui. Niwaeleze sasa.
Tafadhali.
Hebu tuambie basi.
Methali basi. If you start looking for flies in your food, it means you are full. So wajua, it's so difficult to tell someone who has eaten adequately. Na huyu jamaa bwana amekula, ameshiba. Na hata kama hajashiba, dalili za kushiba ndio hizo.
Basi. Start making noise here. Oh, fly. Oh, I think.
Kwanza chakula hata sijui kuna namna gani.
The way it's tasting today. Those kind of things. Anyway, today, and just the conversation in the country over the weekend, following what we saw in terms of darkness. When we saw dim, literally over the weekend.
What?
And then we were like, okay, so what happened? And questions start emerging. Okay, so airport, it's gone dark. Why? Kipchumba tells us, can't even explain what these guys were doing. That's why I'm making changes up here. And in fact, there have been some generators that were bought 2 years ago. And those generators, we have got to put them into good use now. Finally. And all these other questions keep emerging. If you look at then the headline in today's Nation, the cruel face of corruption, and that's it, the cruel face of corruption. They look at various things. Number one, Kenya is hoping that leased high-capacity passport printing machines will help clear a backlog of 58,000 applications arising from breakdowns of machines. One of the machines that prints the 34, 50 and 60-page passport booklets broke down not yesterday, not last month, not in June, not in April, not in May, in March. The number of passports processed and issued increased by 59% to 426,137 last year. In July, the PS in charge of immigration, Julius Bitok, said the government has ordered 2 passport printing machines from Germany. They are yet to arrive.
Sorry.
There have been issues with Germany. Things can't take off from Germany because marine vessels can't depart Germany. There are issues and the clearance and from Germany. So it's taken that a bit of time for them to arrive.
When you say broke down, please define broke down. Yani, is they're waiting for a spare part or the whole thing just?
What broke down exactly?
What happened?
A machine.
The machine broke down.
Which machine? The one in Nairobi?
Yes.
This one here.
What about the one in Mombasa, the one in Kisumu? What happened to those ones?
Yeah,
because passports are also issued in those places.
You apply there, they are printed here. Those ones don't print those many pages.
The books.
Eric, you can apply for a passport in Mombasa and get one in Mombasa.
Yeah, it's delivered in Mombasa. It's not printed in Mombasa. When
Eric,
you apply for an ID in Tamu at the chief's office, and then you go to Tamu to collect the thing at the chief's office, you think the chief printed it?
No, it's different. Eric, it's different.
Still is a poor?
It's different. It's different. You can get your passport in a day, but you can go at 10, at 2 o'clock your passport is ready. So you're telling me they fly that passport in? No. They decentralize this process, just like with central bank. You have central bank in Eldoret, you have a central bank in Mombasa, you have a central bank in Kisumu, you have one in Nairobi. Come on. All these things. I mean, it's a process that was decentralized. It was understood that the demand for these things would be there. So, what exactly are they telling us? What broke down?
Machines broke down. Are we together?
No, we are definitely not together.
Machines broke down. Okay? That's what has happened. And we have now issues to deal with that will require either us we import, or like Kithure Kindiki told Parliament last week, we are now going to do a medical equipment service, managed equipment service scheme.
So
managed printer service scheme.
Let me talk about some.
Private sector brings in machine. Private sector installs machine. Private sector will service the machine. So all we do as government is pay monthly for it. Okay?
You know, Eric,
private sector guy, if this thing aina mafuta, aina toner, ink cartridge, whatever, the private guy sorts it out. Because as guys in government, hatuwezi jua toner ikiisha.
You know, Eric,
as guys in government,
we don't know those things.
I don't know how that
ikiblow fuse pale,
we won't know.
We won't know fuse imechomeka.
Let me tell you, can I, excuse me?
Yes.
Please.
Yes, you're excused.
Thank you. Now, I watched the documentary, interestingly enough, on Saturday, right? It's an industrial park in Belgium, okay? And they make cylinders, the steel cylinders, right?
For what?
Different things. You can, any cylinder for anything that you want. Those guys make it. So the documentary is a day in the life of two of the workers.
All right.
One of the guys, his job, you won't believe it, his job is to report every day. He takes his clipboard and he goes through the processes and he makes sure at this time in the morning, 6:15 on the dot, light was put on, inside. He went, he checked the levels of the voltage. Level was at here. He writes it down, he notes it down. Next spot, he goes, that's his job, to make sure that somebody else did their job.
Yep.
His job is quality, it's control.
Yes.
And he does this until about 12 o'clock and he takes a break. Puts there on the thing, 12:01, taking a break. Comes back, 12:30, he signs there, 12:31, back from my break. Then he goes back with his little clipboard and he's just checking the thing. Something goes off. The light was supposed to be red and it's slightly orange. He notes it down. There's a problem. The light is supposed to be green. It's slightly yellow going towards green. There's a problem. He notes it down. That is his job. It's mundane, it's repetitive, it is rote, but guess what? In the event that something will go wrong, guess what? It has been noted down. In the event that something has dropped below the level that it's required to have dropped, it will be noted and somebody will know, and then it can be escalated and it can be sorted out. And you think that it's not necessary to do? You think that, how do you pay somebody who is even paying taxes and he can send his children to school, and then you ask him what is his job? He says, I check to make sure that everybody does their job. Because if something should go wrong, we would have known along the line that this is where there was a drop. Now you can imagine if such a thing was happening here. Where did you say? Diesel. We didn't know if there was diesel in the generator. How will you even know that there was diesel in the generator? But you'll be insulting people, say, look at these guys, they don't have anything to do with their time.
Maybe the generator is there, but
the generator, we don't even know if the seal for the place where
the guy had a padlock and gone home. So I think didn't kick in now.
The guy who was supposed to buy petrol. Atakuwa tumetoa impressed ya fuel. Si nilikuwa nimesign yuki. For goodness sake.
So we've left passports. Now we are there.
You can CT. Lick your finger, stick it in the air. Where do you want it to land? Anything. Where do you want it to land? Where?
You know, this conversation about the airports authority guy and the people in charge of operations being sacked and all that. I quipped upon it earlier on, but consider an airport represents very many aspects of our country. Forget the commercial and everything that we associate the airport with. There's security. Most important, security. Now, tell me, is there a dedicated line for the airport? Now, dedicated means inatoka, wherever it is produced, it goes there. It doesn't go through Dandora Light Industries. It doesn't go through Embakasi. It doesn't go through utawala, it doesn't go through any other. It belongs to the airport. Do we have such a thing? Tuanze hapo. Now,
is there a substation for the airport? That's what
you too. I think you've understood me perfectly.
Okay.
Then there's this question of there are generators. The generators exist, yes, but there's something about the power. I remember every time we talk to these power people, the power is lost. So essentially, there's an element of irregularity. So to stabilize it, you normally need a UPS. Does it have? Do we have? Are they there?
Does the generator have a UPS?
What is that?
What are you asking?
No. Kuna mahali power inapitia. So it's stabilized. Sasa ingia kwa system vizuri. Okay. When you look at the airport, it's bright throughout. All that requires stable power. You can't have power fluctuating at the airport. It's you doing the yo-yo that it does in our houses. One moment you're seeing, the next moment it's off. It's like a disco. Mara it's on, Mara it's off. But but more importantly, the conversation has revolved around Kenya Airports Authority. But what about the conversation of Kenya Civil Aviation Authority? Because one, airport without planes is not airport. It's just a building. Okay. So there's the Aviation Authority. And currently as we speak, the Aviation Authority that deals with this continent are meeting in Nairobi, just so that you understand. So if you talk about a terrible coincidence, it's this one. Where do they come in?
Actually, they come in for plaudits here. At JKIA on Friday, when power went off at the airport, the tower, the runway were lit.
Yes.
Those are under the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority.
Yes.
So Kenya Civil Aviation Authority ensured its radar was still working, the runway lights were still working, the runway equipment that guide the plane on where to land was still working, the tower where the air traffic controllers are were working.
They did their bit.
Their generators worked.
The
generator for the airport, which is under the Kenya Airports Authority,
diesel.
Whatever happened to it.
Coughed, and then stopped coughing.
Yes.
You guys, do you know what?
Iliharibika carburetor.
People have been arrested and charged in court for much less. I keep saying. Take your mind a few months back when there was another similar occurrence where the power disappeared in the country for several hours. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta ordered, as a result of that, the scrap metal ban came up as a result of that. What were we told? That pylons, it seemed that some people were now fiddling with the integrity of the pylons. And some of that was, and that is why now some of the pylons did what? They fell down.
In Embakasi.
So now that's where power disappeared. People were arrested, taken to court,
and that case
had
died.
to answer. And that case somehow found its way
where such cases normally
he died.
The graveyard of such
bowels of
the graveyard
it was
of
a hot
cases
air.
of that
cases.
nature.
Yeah.
But in that, the initial response was what? And this is my problem. The knee-jerk reaction to some of these things. I gave you guys an example over the weekend. Murtala Mohammed Airport in Nigeria. This is how we started. Sometimes the roof is leaking, power will disappear, generators, what, until the thing went all the way to the ground. They've built it up over years, but guess what? The image that has been left in the minds of anybody who was flying in or out of MM1 remains the same. If you like, lace the grounds with gold. In your mind, you're thinking, oh my God, the time I traveled from Paris to Lagos and I almost died because of 123. Do you see what I'm saying? It is not airport today. It is not immigration tomorrow. It is a general lack of just not doing what you're supposed to do and thinking it is all right. That will be our downfall.
Yep.
That's the problem. That you can think, okay, I just won't show up today. Or you can think, okay, it's just 100,000 shillings. Nobody's going to miss it. Or, okay, the generator that we bought, it's supposed to not run on air. It's supposed to actually use diesel. Okay, we'll get round to that tomorrow. It's the attitude around all of these things that is going to be the downfall. It'll be the downfall of an airport. It'll be the downfall of an education system. It'll be the downfall of a health system. It'll be the downfall of an immigration system where you're in March and your thing doesn't work. That's something that is a basic right for your citizens. You cannot do. And you say, yeah, the machine is broken. We are waiting for it to come from Germany. For how long? For how long? But somehow, if you show up at immigration today, let's be very honest, you show up at immigration today and you have some 10,000, some 15,000, miraculously, your passport will come out tomorrow. you will get a passport tomorrow. So what are we talking about?
That broken machine can produce
the broken machine can work.
It's an attitude issue.
The attitude around all of these things.
It's an attitude issue in our public service. The fact that, we even when the CS for energy, Davis Churchill, came out to say what had happened, he did not actually say what had happened. He said how they're working to restore power. He just briefly ran over, okay, so there was a downtime. What caused it?
What brought it about?
Yes. What caused it? When we had e-citizen down for an entire week and government services unavailable on that platform for an entire week, we're like, oh yeah, these guys are trying to hack our system, but they didn't really succeed.
No
What is it? What caused it? When we see all these things happening, and we just say, okay, unajua ni ile kitu ilikuwa imeanguka jana. System imerudi. Tumerudisha stima. These things take time. Our engineers are working round the clock. So you'll get power, but you'll get power at some point in this weekend, but it'll be intermittent because we'll be trying to bring it back. What caused that? What kind of losses have people gone through? And how would you just sit back and explain that? We've talked about people going to hospital and you're going for dialysis. You have a schedule. Your appointment is 2 p.m. You get there and you're told, leo machine imeharibika.
Utangoja. Ama urudi.
You've been given this schedule. Your kidney is basically just requiring this service.
Actually, your kidney is actually waiting to pack up.
Yes. In fact, it's an end stage. Yes. When you keep coming for dialysis, regular dialysis, you have end stage renal failure. And you guys going to a hospital and someone says, machine haifanyi.
Next week.
And we see these things all the time in many places. You are applying for a driving license. You're told the same kind of thing. Whatever. Our public service, we need to have a conversation about it because clearly there's an attitude problem like you're saying. And an attitude problem cannot just be, once we deal with an issue, we'll move on. Yes.
And even that thing when they're saying we've been working the whole weekend, you know what? Working on what?
On what?
What exactly have you been doing? Because that's the thing. If you're not able to say this is what we did, and I'm going to make it sound very basic. If wires were tampered with, I'm not saying that's the issue, but here's an example. If wires were tampered with, when you say the cause of the problem that there was a cut in the wire, all right? That was the problem. We've identified the problem. Now, we've been spending 48 hours to fix it. What have we been doing? We have been removing the damaged wire, and we have now been replacing it. Right. Then I can say, okay, wonderful. That's what we see. They've been working. You know why? I'm not saying so that you can tell us what you are doing so that we know that you're actually working. In order to avoid a situation like that in the future, number one, or number two, to be able to mitigate really quickly so that you do not have 48 hours of loss of power in completion or total loss of power, or then this intermittent thing that you have. That's what I'm saying. So that people can actually know, all right, we're on the same page here. This was the problem. This is how we're going to fix it. What happened? Turkana was saying, actually, you know what? It wasn't our problem. KPLC says, actually, Turkana had the issue. Okay, guys. So when you were working the whole weekend to restore power, what was happening? Because if you don't do that, guess what? It is not going to be too long from now that it will do what? It'll happen again.
But even what is worse, in my opinion, we will determine what happened. We'll let our imaginations fly.
Exactly.
Yes.
We'll come up with all.
That's why you see all the stories.
Conspiracy theories were flying through the window over the weekend already.
Whoa. It's like they had been stored somewhere waiting for a release. They came out. And yet, is it really difficult to explain what happened? Because power wasn't there. Okay, what happened?
And you know what?
There was under voltage, blah, blah, blah. There was under voltage. There was under voltage into the grid. So what is
happened?
It that caused?
No, it wasn't just under voltage. It had gone to Uganda. So they were waiting for it to come back
from Uganda.
Yes. So while it was en route, something happened in Turkana. I mean, it's sounding like the Okoh assassination. The man burnt himself, got into a helicopter, jumped out, broke his leg, then shot himself while he was dead. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You see, even if it was a simple error that can occur, and by the way, these things happen.
That's what I'm saying.
These things happen.
Is normal.
These things happen.
When you're dealing with a system like this, it is very normal for you to lose power.
Yes.
It is very normal for voltage to go above or below its required place. It is very normal. But when you do not do the due diligence around this system, you'll have a problem. Now, when something should happen, and again, you don't do the due diligence to explain what happened or to even find the root problem to make sure that it doesn't happen again, there you have a problem. You don't tell people what's going on, then now what we see, somebody gets fired. Is that the solution?
No, it's not. It's not. It's a good thing that Kipchumba Murkomen did what he did. You know, he came out immediately on that night and said, okay, guys, here, all right, seriously, there's an issue here. I'm going to deal with it. Following day, we saw he went there, he met the board and management, and they took issue and then fired the MD and transferred the boss of the airport. The boss of the airport, you'd expect, is a person who's directly in charge of this facility. So the generator is under the airport manager, not necessarily under the MD. So the immediate person who you should be answering for a failed generator should be the airport manager. But the airport manager has been taken to Mombasa. The boss has been fired. Okay, yes, how we shall replace. But what happened?
You know.
And this is what Kipchumba should have told us. And what he should be telling us. This is what happened. The generator did not come on because there was no fuel. The generator did not come on because he may say, I don't want to tell you these things because it's embarrassing. We don't give a hoot. It's a tell us what happened.
Yeah.
We want to know, is it that there was no diesel? Is it that the generator was out of service? It had not been serviced for 2 weeks.
There was no generator?
Yes. If there was an aircraft accident, the aircraft investigation will tell us exactly what had happened. A rivet came out. It was supposed to have been serviced before taking off on this flight. It didn't. The pilot was supposed to have slept for 7 hours. He only slept for 3. You will tell us anything that happened. If the pilot was drunk and this thing is going to be an embarrassment to the pilot and his family, you will tell us the pilot was drunk and he was not supposed to be on this flight. In this particular case, Kipchumba should be telling us this is why the generator did not come on as it should have. This is it. This is why it even did not come on after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes. Because if it doesn't come on automatically, you have a manual way of turning on the generator.
Yes.
Why wasn't it switched on in 5 minutes?
They are all
manually.
Actually,
all these things. Why didn't it work? We have to know what happened. Same thing with Chirchir and the MD for Kenya Power. The MD for Kenya Power should come out and tell us, so this is what happened on Friday. Okay? We had a miscommunication. We told Lake Turkana, you guys switch off your thing. And we told Uganda, you guys give us power. And then Uganda did not understand by give us what we meant by give us. Or whatever happened. So, or we told the Turkana people switch off tomorrow. But they did not wait for us to say tomorrow. They switched off immediately.
Eric,
whatever.
There's something you've said on many, many occasions, and not last week, last month, but for years now. The ability of those in public service to just say the truth.
Yes.
Just nothing complicated. You know, people think that these blackouts are... You're talking about Murtala Mohammed. You're talking about Nigeria. My friend, California. It is the one place in the world that has the largest and the most frequent outages. In the last 20 years, they've had 2,684 outages. But the largest the world has ever witnessed was in 30 and 31st of July 2012. Happened in India. 670 million people were affected. It means 1/10 of the world's population were affected. So blackouts happen. And if you read, you will find many, many places which have had blackouts.
Yes.
This one, a simple truth. Forget explanation. Folks, this is what actually happened. Somebody forgot to service the generator.
Yes.
Somebody forgot to put fuel. Just say it. So that when you sack the CEO, we understand why the CEO is being sacked. Right now, I feel the guy is a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what happened.
Yeah, I feel this guy, they decided, since somebody's head must roll, let it be the CEO.
We must show action.
Yes, let the CEO. And
so
then
let the CEO
there's an operations guy here. Sack that one also. And I'm thinking, okay, are we any clearer as to what actually happened? The answer is no, we're not any clearer. But we know people have been sacked.
Are we any closer to a solution should something like this happen again in the future?
No. Solution for what when we don't really know what happened?
They'll tell you that those who need to know.
Oh.
All right?
The people who need to know, did you see the pictures?
The people at the airport.
Did you see the people who were putting on their phones, looking for their bags on the conveyor belt? The people whose children had gotten anxious after having waited for 2 hours. How many did some wait? 5.
My friend, I know somebody who was taking a flight out of JKIA. So because of no processing to get onto the flights got delayed. They got into Amsterdam. They got delayed by 5 hours. Of course, the flight that they were to connect with,
delayed.
It had gone.
There's no delays.
So now they had to look for another flight, which takes them to a different city.
And you pay more money.
When you go into that different city, now to transfer back into the city you intended to go to, now you have to do local car hire. So you have taken to Mombasa, now you take coast bus.
Drive to Kisumu.
Now, what if you had scheduled a meeting, which was which was time constrained, meaning that meeting is gone?
Yep. There's a huge cost here. And that huge cost cannot just be borne by we fired.
It cannot just be wrapped up in a sacking of one individual. And it cannot just be wrapped up in, we're working on it over the weekend and you'll get intermittent power. It can't.
Actually, the CA seems to think that when you sack the CEO and the manager or the director in charge of some of these services, you've served a purpose. You've actually shone a light on yourself. It is you who should go.
100%. And I'm sorry, because I know we're going to go to break, but this is the thing. You know what? We keep talking about the difference between doing things a certain way and then development. That's the difference. It's an attitude. It's not the cement blocks or however many buildings you put up. It's an attitude of accountability and responsibility that takes you from here to here.
That's it.
So now you kick the can down the road.
Yes.
Whereas you, had you been an honorable person, it is you who should have resigned. Because either leave the CEO there so that this person tells you exactly what has happened. The guy was even given an opportunity to answer, to explain what happened.
I know that guy needed to go. And not just him, many others under him needed to go.
Why?
Because the airport has no power.
No, folks.
He is the one directly in charge of this institution.
Please.
Number one.
Okay, let's put it the other way.
Please. Number two, the airport manager. The airport manager, the JKIA airport manager is the one who should be signing, making sure mafuta iko.
Nimenunua mafuta.
Mtu wa padlock hiyo funguo ya kuingia kwa generator inafanya kazi.
I'm talking CEO, not airport manager.
I am on CEO. He's the head of the institution. And then the airport manager should also follow suit. Why was this thing not working?
You know,
they can give us answers when they're outside.
If you're telling us that
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Oh, finally! It's my Standard Courier delivery.
At Standard Courier, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we guarantee swift and efficient deliveries to your doorstep every time. Give us a call on 0793 599 684 or schedule your next delivery by visiting our website www.standardmedia.co.ke/courier. Trust Standard Courier service for all your courier needs. We deliver with pride.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. That's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person, or that all hustlers are poor. I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person, or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is that?
So who is a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
Up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
we'll see highs of 25 and lows of 13. It's sunny at 18 in Nakuru, highs of 27 and lows of 13. And we'll see lows of 14 in a partly sunny Nyeri at 18, going to highs of 24. 19 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 25 and lows of 11. And at 26, Mombasa is sunny, highs of 30 and lows of 23. 24 will be the low in a sunny Malindi at 27, highs of 29. It's sunny at 25 in Kisumu, highs of 31 and lows of 18. And sunny at 24 in Kakamega, highs of 29 and lows of 15. Cloudy at 23 in Kampala, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 29 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 26. It's 10 and sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 21 and lows of 4. 24 and cloudy in Lagos, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 30 in a sunny Kinshasa at 24. Let's look out into Beijing. Monday afternoon is sunny at 30 with lows of 18, and it's 15 and mostly cloudy in Paris. 22 will be the high and lows of 12. 13 and sunny in London, highs of 21 and lows of 12. And Sunday night in New York is still clear at 22, highs of 25 and 20 coming into Monday.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, so coming out of traffic hour according to the clock, and a little bit of traffic left here and there in the city. Not too bad coming off Uhuru Highway as you pass the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, and looks good on Mombasa Road. Before that, the thicker superhighway, much better now in terms of traffic flowing into the CBD. Even at the Pangani underpass, that seems to have melted away with the minutes. Coming off Gong Road, that looks pretty good, and what was happening on Jago Road earlier seems to have dwindled as well. Uhuru Highway will see the most of it now getting in and out of the city through to Westlands from Mombasa Road and in the other direction as well. Through the morning, talk to us and let's keep things moving this morning on Spice FM. KE on next.
Business News with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. NCBA Group has committed to mobilize 30 billion shillings for green and sustainable financing by 2030. The commitment sets the stage for NCBA in preparation for the Africa Climate Week 2023 that will take place on 4th to 8th of September 2023 in Nairobi. The group has identified sustainability as one of the priorities and has set 15 ambitious commitments by 2030, notably to grow 10 million trees through strategic partnerships with private actors and government, fully eliminate single-use plastic, ensure 100% waste recycling, green its supply chain, and investing significantly in deploying EV charging stations across the region. Kenya Insurance profit after tax increased by 9% to 900 million shillings in the half year to June compared to a similar period last year on account of improved income on investment. In the 6 months to June 2023, investment income rose 16% to 2.15 billion shillings from 1.86 billion shillings. This was in addition to the 29% decline in total outflows from 10.48 billion shillings to 7.40 billion shillings. The French government and the European Union will spend 200 million euros to help the country's wine producers who are struggling to cope with falling prices and waning demand. The French Ministry of Agriculture had initially allocated 160 million euros for the crisis program, allowing certain growers to sell excess stock to distillers, who then turn it into other alcoholic products like hand sanitizer. High demand for the voluntary buyback program, which was announced in June, prompted authorities to stretch its budget to $200 million. For Spice Business, I'm Dennis Aseto.
Spice FM Business. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
We are asking ourselves, so what are these things that we are seeing? Passports not working, ID not working. You want to get a certificate of good conduct. Sijui, you go to e-citizen, sijui e-citizen is down, sijui what happens. You want to get a marriage and birth certificate, sijui what happened. Oh, then kidogo power gone. And then it comes back and told, well, you wait, power will come back. What's your problem? So you just wait.
Be patient.
Be patient.
What's your hurry?
It'll come back. Folks, participate in this conversation. 0719-012-600. That's 0719-012-600. As we were going to the break, City, you had started saying that the CS should bear
it's his ministry. I mean, if you're going to parade the CEO, the airport manager, the technical boss, all those people, okay? Well, why don't we go to the genuine oversight, the overall oversight body? Let's go to CS, let's go to his PS, okay? What on earth are they telling us? Because if it's one airport, how do we know that all our airports are safe? How do we know? How do we know that the standards that are required for these very, very sensitive installations are in place? How do we know that whatever it is that is required to ensure that we keep that standard that makes us international and makes us a hub is maintained? Because sometimes you just need one little fault like this, one, not two, and suddenly people feel, hey, wait a moment, this thing is a bit tricky. And now, when right now our neighbor Rwanda are building the biggest airport that this continent is going to see. So it's not as though the people are sleeping. No.
City, let me give you an illustration about something that may fuel your argument just a little bit.
Yes.
A few months ago, there was a terrible train crash in Greece, just at the border, getting into Greece. The transport minister, immediately he heard about this, he went to the scene to kind of assess what exactly had happened, and then they found out where the fault was, what exactly had been caused. On the spot, at the scene, he tendered his resignation. He didn't wait, didn't ask, didn't say, oh, maybe. There. Said, you know what? I'm very sorry. Let me take a step back as we try to figure out all of this that has happened. But for now, I cannot work where something like this has happened. Under what?
Under my docket. Yes.
Who
that
else?
was just to help.
Who else left office?
I need to find out the details, but that was just dramatic in the way in which it happened. I need to find out the details of who else left. But for him, he took responsibility fully, completely, instantly. Anything else can happen that needs to happen, but he said, you know what? Not like this.
Yeah.
Not this number of people dying, not in the manner in which they did, whereby there was a fault that could have been what? Avoided.
You see, taking responsibility isn't firing someone. That's, you may think it is, it isn't. You see, everything that we're saying is true. That is the docket of the airport authority. Yes, true. Kabza. They are responsible. Kabza. But who else is responsible?
You know, I have a different view on this.
Please.
And I see it from different approaches. If it's an operational issue,
yes,
then the person operationally in charge takes responsibility.
I agree.
If it's a policy and a bigger picture issue, then the person who's in charge of policy should take responsibility.
Yes.
So for instance, in this case of, let's say, the train crash, okay, if we see that this train crash is happening because the government has failed to invest in a signaling system, the government has failed to finance this rail operator, the government has at that level, then the minister takes responsibility.
And he must have known.
Yes.
He did that,
At this particular point, you're seeing this is something that actually had come to my desk. And in fact, if people start digging up, they'll realize that there was a request that had been passed on to my office, and I had not acted on it. And because I did not act, this has happened. I take responsibility. Had I acted, this would not have happened. In the case of lights going off at one airport in the country, okay, I want to look at it differently. If there was an issue of the board has written to one of the board members who is the cabinet secretary for transport, who's in charge of the transport docket, and has said, you know what, people, we need ABCD for our airport. We need to make some institutional structural changes, and we require approval of the ministry to make these structural changes. And those structural changes were not made, and therefore now we are seeing these lackadaisical failures at the airport. Then, okay, Kipchumba go. But if it is operational, generator did not come on. Okay.
Generator didn't come on, so
you don't have... What is it? You know, Eric, if that's the case, then the person in charge of this institution has questions to answer.
I like your reasoning, and it makes sense. But it actually supports what I'm saying. Because the moment you get rid of people that quickly, are you getting rid of them because they were culpable? Are you getting rid of them because something that ought to have been done and which could have been moved higher up the ladder was not done? And so that we don't have too much light being shed on this and we appear like we've done something, get rid of the people who are supposed to be in charge of it at this ground level.
If we look at brick and mortar, look at this thing like this, right? There are backup generators within the airport because we've already
they exist.
We've established that this power cut, power disruption is something that can happen.
Yes,
it can happen.
No,
right?
That can happen with the best of service, the best of everything.
Now we are saying because we know that can happen, there is an emergency or backup system in place by way of generators. Right. In order for these generators to do this job of emergency backup, certain things must be in place. There must be fuel in the generator, diesel. There must be somebody who's maintaining to make sure the thing is working. It would help, isn't it?
And every once in a while, you must fire it up.
Check that this thing is actually running.
To know it's actually running.
Now, this system, in order for that to happen, there is an individual or a team of people who is tasked with the responsibility of making sure that this is in place.
Yes.
Now, we are saying on Friday night, Saturday, whatever, this function did not happen. The function now of the emergency coming into place. It didn't happen.
Yes.
And why that didn't happen is because certain things that this team that has been tasked with responsibility of doing did not do. Number one, they did not check if there was diesel, which they should. They did not check if the thing was running properly, which they should. They did not check if the thing had been properly maintained, which they should. It's a daily occurrence kind of thing. Remember the thing I told you about the guy in Belgium?
That guy with the notebook, with a pad, yes.
That's why you're supposed to be making sure on a daily basis this thing happens, because you do not anticipate emergency. Emergency by definition does not give you time to prepare. So before that, you should be prepared. There is somebody who is responsible for that action. Because guess what? If the lights had gone on at JKIA, even when this emergency had happened, we would not be talking about this thing where we're talking about, people went to Amsterdam, they lost their
we would have been talking about how efficient JKIA is.
No, we would have been saying that there was a power cut in the country, but JKIA was still able to run normally because the emergency backup system was in place. But that did not happen because somebody slipped on the job. And that's what I'm telling you, there's an attitude problem. So the person directly responsible for that lapse has to pay the consequences.
And I'm saying we don't really know if that is what happened, do we?
We don't.
But we don't know.
And that is the other thing.
That's the problem.
Right?
Not sharing information is also a problem.
It should be, can we establish what exactly happened?
Now, if the people who are supposed to establish it have already been sacked,
they can still be summoned.
They can still be asked and told.
We haven't killed them.
They're not dead.
They're alive.
While you are telling us what happened, you just be at home or applying for another job.
But you'll not be doing this job.
You'll not be doing this job. But you will still tell us what happened. So that the next person won't make the same mistake, my brother. You get? It's not
Karaja.
Posthumous investigation.
Boy.
How are you, Karaja?
They work out Eric do and City.
Hey.
Yes, I love those conversations. They are robust and I love it very much.
What's your view?
Now, I think, should we call this a scandal, my friend?
Let's just call it.
It's a scandal, yes, isn't it?
Yes.
Why do these ministers quickly decided to sack somebody who was junior? In fact, I think somebody should take a political responsibility and resign.
The CS.
And this give us a chronology that the president himself, I don't know, he was addressing the state CS performance. You remember the president said some of the CS, I don't know what is happening in your ministries.
Yes.
So I think we should not get these people to sack the CEO or any junior personally just because of the mishap that has happened. You see, let's take for instance, there was a scandal, the Watergate scandal during the president. I don't know who's president.
It was called Nixon.
Watergate.
He was called Nixon, President Nixon.
The Nixon. You remember the Watergate scandal?
Yes.
You remember what happened? These people, the Senate and even the investigation people go there and do see what really happens. And somebody went home.
So you're saying the CS should resign?
Yes, I think the CS should take up political responsibility and resign from office and pave way for investigation.
So,
but they should not.
Are you also saying the CS for energy should resign?
Yes, the CS for energy should resign. That is the thing. Thank you very much, Eric Kidu City.
Thank you, Karanja. 0719-012-600. He says political responsibility goes all the way in this particular case. Where I see is we are asking the questions, what happened? And for as long as we don't have the answers what happened, then we are not being served properly.
No, we're not.
Because we should be told, in the case of JKIA, this is what happened. When the CS comes in and alludes to the fact that there have been 2 generators that were procured more than 2 years ago that have not been commissioned, then there was a failure in generator and the servicing schedule and its operational ability. It's pointing to that direction. But is it?
Is it? Look, and
because I mean, for a generator not to come on, what does it mean? That's an engine,
forever.
And I'm sure it has come on many times because power trips. Generators come on
immediately without you even knowing. You may sense it, but many times you wouldn't.
So in this particular case, why did this generator not come on? It could be none of those issues. It could have actually had full tank of fuel.
Possibly.
Maybe the relays were working. Power goes off, it comes on. What happened in this particular instance is what we need to know.
And you know why you need to know? Because it was not just JKA that was affected by this, all right? JKA was affected because, yes, generator didn't do what it was supposed to do and kick in, right? But it becomes a whole... And again, I go back to what I said in the very beginning, that it is an attitude problem from the beginning. Because your reluctance to explain the situation is almost a holier-than-thou, I really don't care what happens down there kind of thing.
This is above your pay grade.
I'm going to tell you this.
I don't need to bother you with the details of this. You just know that power is back and then you can go put it in your pipe and smoke it kind of thing. Really? But what we are saying here is this. Tell people what happened. Look at the traders in the market who lost kilos of meat.
Imagine.
They could not sell. They had to throw it away.
Imagine.
Look at... Okay, the CS Mbarire is telling us that actually, no, that story is not true. But imagine a situation whereby you don't have a backup generator and there are people who are on life support. There are people whose babies are in incubators. There are people who are in the middle of surgery and things are happening.
Yep.
That's why you need to know the why. That's why you need to understand what happened.
It's a big one. This was
a big deal.
It was a nationwide
I was awake when that thing went off.
Yes,
it went off. It coughed.
Yeah, it just
then it went off again. Then I said okay. Then it came on again. Coughed. Blinked. Disco light again. Vroom. I thought anyway. Then it coughed out.
Beatrice in Mombasa.
How are you?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Habari ya Nairobi.
Nairobi
tuko na stima.
Mko na stima? Sisi hatukuwa na stima jana usiku, tulikuwa na disco kuanzia saa 3 mpaka saa 7 usiku.
Poleni
jamani.
Yesterday. By now, I see yesterday anishangaza. You know, where is the Kenya Power CS?
The Kenya Power who?
Because if I'm talking the Kenya
Energy CS.
Energy, where is he?
And then the Parliament cash.
He need to explain to us what happened. Because some of us is talking about Kenya Airport Authority.
Yeah.
But what about the home school lost food when we have stocked the food because of the holiday of the children?
Yeah.
Here we lost that, but now sacking the head of the airport does not make a sense because Kenya Energy also need to tell us and need to go home and explain to us. Yes.
Asante Beatrice. Thank you. Ali in Mombasa. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning,
sir. Ali.
I like the word that Madam Du has used, attitude. I think the better thing to answer to what happened is that we have responsibility, and the attitude of all the employees of our government is overconfidence that there is no starting in it or no taking responsibility in it. One, I should say, like she was talking about the service of the generator, taking of the generator. I am talking of emergency evacuation at the airport. This is only the power that has gone out, and we have lost millions, I don't know, billions of shillings in terms of air traffic controlling. How about if there was an eruption that has occurred, and the generator was supposed to have helped us in doing what? Evacuating all the passengers and all the workers over there.
That's true.
So I see the operation director of Kenya Airport Authority going, the chairman, the CEO, the minister concerned in the energy sector, the CS of roads and whatever, that is Murkomen, and even the PSs, principal secretaries. These are supposed to be doing this work on daily basis and taking out on everything. They are supposed to be briefed every morning of everything that is happening in the country. These people should take their responsibility by resigning, not to be sacked. But as I know the attitude of me, if I'm being employed by the government, I have 101% not to be sacked. That is my talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. As we conclude, let's hear from Boaz Waruku. Boaz, good morning.
Good morning, Eric and your team. Thank you so much. Indeed, I think I would start by indicating that the trouble in Kenya is actually scapegoating. It's akin to what we have been entertained with in the past, where people who have been given authority to manage or govern our institutions, the first thing they start by telling you, for example, when there were people in leadership, they tell you the opposition did not oversight us. That is why we lost money. They start by telling you, because you guys did not sit at your corner, so we could not be able to discharge our responsibilities well. This case of the power, actually the countrywide power outage, should have seen people at the very top. You start with the ministers actually just tendering their resignation and going. And you start with the energy. Because now we are looking at how come the emergency kick in at the JK